I'm excited to talk about the book.
Have you read the book?
Oh my god, yes.
Did you read Lost World?
Yes. I read it way too young.
Well, yeah.
I feel like that's most people's relationship to Jurassic Park in general, is you saw at least one of them way too young.
I think
Oh my god. Yeah.
I think my brother grew up. Well, he grew up. He's alive. I think my brother, he saw the first movie really young. It traumatized him. My mom was so mad at my grandma for it.
My parents were mad at my grandma because she would play Jurassic Park whenever we visited, because I loved it. However, every time that the opening raptor scene happened, I would hide. Because I was mortified by that whole sequence. I was like, ugh.
And now
I also love how they just released some behind the scenes footage of the Clever Girl scene, showing more of the animatronic and more of the work they did. There's this one freaky image of the puppet with its full mouth over the guy's face. And I sent that in a group chat with my partner and our future roommate, and was like, this is me kissing our cat on the head.
But talking about kissing cats on the head, that's an excellent... I mean, you've just made yourself an all-time guest, I think, on this podcast. You've managed to find a way to blend whatever the topic is with talking about cats, which is pretty much 50% of this podcast.
That's an excellent opportunity for me to get up and go get our editor.
Star Wars, Transformers, Godzilla, animation, whatever else. Rebels, robots, and etc.
Okay, I know you guys know the song, so I want you to sing it with me. Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Starformers Park, Rebels, Robots, and Raptors, episode 81. I'm Cameron.
I'm going to mute myself.
And our guest today is... Can you hear us?
That was my cue. Oh. I thought you were checking your notes to see what to
No.
And our guest today is
unfortunately,
Daily Beal.
No, unfortunately, that was Cameron's full-fledged, genuine introduction. I'm held against my will.
Well, what a great way to start. I think this start... Exactly. This is a great start. I think it actually reflects very well the movies we're talking about, especially Lost World, because it's just kind of we're going to do it again, and whatever happens, happens, without
extremely poor planning.
From Crichton writing the book to Spielberg just... And maybe this will end like how Spielberg just wanted the movie to end, with a big catastrophe in a city. Maybe we'll end up ruining our city somehow, or maybe Athena will attack.
California. Oh no!
Not
again.
The worst.
But this is our bi-weekly chat, as the podcast normally is about Star Wars and
Transformers
and whatever else we both want to talk about. We're currently in Jurassic Park. This week we are doing the second and third movies, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3, and we are very blessed to have with us a guy that I know cares a lot about these. It's my friend Bailey, a.k.a. the movie daddy himself. Bailey, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
You're welcome.
He was originally supposed to do Jurassic World, but our schedule got moved around, so he got forced to do... I don't know, in your ranking of these movies, where do Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 compare to Jurassic World?
Right beneath it.
World is beneath 2 and 3.
Both of these are interchangeable.
Yeah,
I would say.
But we'll be talking about that here in a few minutes. But we normally start. I think so. Last time we had Bailey on was last year for Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire. Was that the subtitle for that movie?
Wasn't it King of the Monsters?
No, that's. Oh, you're right. No, you're right. It was he was on for Godzilla, King of the Monsters, of course.
I know what I'm about.
So we actually never got to talk to Bailey about the new Godzilla X Kong. Bailey, how did you feel about it?
Godzilla is pink. And
Pink.
I couldn't be happier. Anytime Godzilla changes colors, I am a happy, brainless boy. I sit and I clap.
New toy.
I clapped a lot. I pointed at the screen. I said, oh, Mothra. And then Mothra did Mothra things. Godzilla was having the time of his life, and I was a very, very supportive third party. I was so happy that Godzilla was happy to be beating the crap out of other apes.
I think we had similar reactions to seeing Mothra in the film.
You know what? I totally forgot she was even
happy.
in it.
Fake fan.
So we're bringing Bailey back to talk about another big lizard franchise I know he loves. And like I said, we'll be talking about in a few minutes, but our first section is, this is new since the last time. So we did news last time you were on, Bailey, but we retitled our news section to News, Woos, and Boos, where whoever is not giving the news or recent thought, that we rate it as a woo or a boo. Woo pretty much just means you're glad that it's happening, the bit of news. Boo can mean one of two things. Boo can mean that you're not happy that the thing is happening.
Stop screen peeking my news.
Or it can mean that you're not glad that the news was shared at all, such as when Rachel likes to share about Black Series figures or just list award ceremony nominations. Those are normally a boo for me because I don't care. So it gives her a chance to share what she wants to talk about. It gives me a chance to share my opinion about it.
It's actually Cameron silencing women's voices.
You know, that seems to be a very common trend.
He does it to our editor, too.
Look, editors are not meant to talk on podcasts. She's an editor. She's supposed to be behind the microphone.
And she keeps this running.
So
Behind every great man is an even better woman.
Amen.
So who's the woman behind the Jurassic Park series then?
Rexy.
Sure, fair. That's fair.
Kathleen Kennedy?
Actually, that's a good. That leads into a quick thought from last week. I think I asked a question. I'm guessing the fact that Rachel did not respond, she probably didn't hear it. I errantly asked, is it the same T-Rex in all of the movies? And I said this before. That's the reaction you should have had. You didn't. You must not have heard me.
When did you say that?
Sometime during the last episode, I asked, is it the same T-Rex in all of the movies?
I'm pretty sure I said no.
You said that it is not in the third one, but you didn't talk about the second one. You didn't mention Lost World.
No. Well, I was expecting you to read the book, and I didn't think we were going to get... I
said this last week. So I did not... I had totally forgotten that 2 and 3 were both on a totally different island, because I had not seen them in a long time.
Let me explain Rexy's timeline for everyone who is unaware.
I know the timeline. Cameron doesn't ask me good questions.
Cameron, we are here to educate you.
Well, I know it now, but go ahead and share it for the listeners who don't know.
She bursts out of Jurassic Park. She is a queen. She is unstoppable. She is an animal and a beast, and I love her. Then we move along to the Lost World. That is the doe. That is the Mama Rex.
Correct.
She is also a queen, you know, in a loving relationship.
With her short king.
With a baby. It's great. And then you get to Jurassic Park 3, where we have the young one. I think they call it... It's not the buck, because the buck is the...
The buck is the dad.
Male. Yeah, it's not the buck. And it's also not the baby.
It's just...
From Jurassic Park 2. It's just another one that's fairly young and inexperienced and gets killed by the Spinosaurus.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll get to that later for sure.
But then we get to the Jurassic World franchise. Every T-Rex you see in that is Rexy, except for the final T-Rex shot of the final movie where Rexy meets up with Doe and Buck. Mm-hmm. I don't think the baby's there, which had a lot of fans going, oh, what happened?
He got sold, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
He's being used as some Saudi Arabian prince's personal transportation, probably.
Oh no.
No.
So, Rachel, I know you've got some sort of news. What do you got?
This gets a boo from me, even though Cameron doesn't ask my opinion.
No, the whole game, quote unquote, is that it's the person who doesn't give the news. You can write any news I give.
This gets a boo from me. Josh Cooley, who is the director for Transformers 1, confirms that Paramount has no plans for a sequel.
Yeah, that's not too surprising.
That's a big boo.
I have personal beef with the marketing team.
Bailey, how did you feel about Transformers 1?
I loved it. I honestly...
Thank you.
Transformers in animated medium has been the way to go. I've loved just about every animated Transformers project that's come out.
King Bailey behavior.
Yeah, and this one, I wanted to see more of it. I think it ends in a fairly okay place, but it won me over, and I wanted more.
This is King behavior, Bailey. I love this.
Yeah, I think that was generally our opinion as well.
Big fan.
I appreciate that.
So I realized the joy that I've had between our last recording, because our last episode we had a ton of fun. We had our friend Caleb on, and we talked about in depth the book Jurassic Park and the movie, and it was a blast. All three of us big fans, love it, enjoy the book as well. Was not as looking forward to this episode generally, but the joy that I had after the last episode ended and I realized I had thoughts about Jurassic Park that I didn't get to share is I can still just keep sharing them. Like, it'll continue to be relevant. And so that is to say, some recent thoughts from that got missed last week, things I've learned since last then. One thing is, so we talked about, Bailey, again, you've read the original Jurassic Park book, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Something that
I have a mouthful of ramen. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We interrupted Bailey's dinner, so he's using this time to eat and cast at the same time. All good. The movie contains characters from the book, but in the movie there are very, very small roles. Wu is a notable one, even though the actor makes a big impression.
B.D. Wong.
His screen time's very short. Then you had who was the other main scientist who's just briefly in the movie? Do you remember? He's the one taking care of the sick Triceratops.
Oh, the veterinarian, Harding?
Harding. Okay, that's what I was thinking was Harding.
Yes.
Is Harding also the name of a character from
Sarah Harding?
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay,
Sarah
is there no
Harding.
connection there?
So really the only connection, so in the book, it's fairly ambiguous, I'm fairly certain, where Malcolm and, we'll get into this, Malcolm and Sarah in the book are a little bit more ambiguous on whether they were a thing or not, mostly due to the, again, 20-year age gap between her and him. But there's a point where she specifically mentions her dad was like a exotic bird vet.
Okay.
And Malcolm goes, your dad was a vet? Which there seems just be an ambiguous connection because
Interesting.
The veterinarian Harding in the first one was a bird vet and then was brought to the island. So it's an ambiguous connection.
Interesting. Did Harding die in the book? I don't recall.
No, he lived.
Interesting. Well, I bring all that up to say is that I learned since when we recorded the podcast is that they actually cast the film before the screenplay was finished. So they were casting characters from the book, not knowing how big of a role they would play in the final film. So that's why you have... I would guess they were still contractually obligated to be in the film. So that's why you're having main characters in the book showing up in incredibly small roles in the film because they had already cast them. So they had to use them, which I just found interesting.
Also, with that, the confidence that they had with just Jurassic Park in general, having Steven Spielberg behind it, extended into one of my hyperfixations, theme parks. The Universal Studios Jurassic Park River Raft ride was in development at the exact same time that the movie was in development. And there are a lot of conflicting speculations, but apparently the infamous raft scene from the book was ultimately scrapped from the film.
Yes.
And Spielberg went, that'd be a great theme park ride.
We can make a
and
ride.
So they went ahead and just said, hey, Universal, we'll make this into a ride for you.
Very John Hammond
did.
of him.
I appreciate you sharing that. I think I had heard that, but I appreciate you fleshing out that detail. That is yes, a very interesting. The way Jurassic Park, the film was produced, is that the film itself was produced in tandem with all of the merchandising and all the extracurricular things, and that was, from what I understand, that was pretty new. That was not a thing as big in the film world at the time. That's kind of how like most major films are produced now.
Yeah.
And I think even like the marketing, the trailers that they had for Jurassic Park didn't really feature any of the dinosaurs. I think most of like the trailers they would play was just the logo appearing.
Sure.
And then maybe you heard like a dinosaur roar, and that was it. I think I remember looking up at least one of those. Maybe eventually they started showing scenes from the movie or something. Frankly, I don't know if it exists, but I have like this weird Mandela effect memory of possible trailer where you saw him like taking the glasses off for the Brontosaurus scene.
Yeah.
And they just kind of cut away to the Jurassic Park logo, and you just saw his reaction, and you heard like a roar. And I'm like, that would have been perfect. Just to build up and like, oh, what is he seeing? I want to see that. And then you see it in the movie, and you start crying as a grown man in the theater watching the re-release that they do every single year.
That's just some grown man. It's not you, Bailey, right? So, what other news you got, Rachel?
That is it.
That is it. Okay.
Because Cameron doesn't consider the San Diego Comic-Con Black Series releases to be news.
Not particularly, unless there's like something really earth-shattering about it. Bailey, do you collect any Black Series or any figures like that currently?
I don't collect Black Series. However, I do appreciate seeing them pop up on my feed every now and again. Look, some of those clone troopers, the way that they capture Tamora Morrison's look,
I got 4 of him.
Each and every one of them, it's immaculate. I'm like, this is gold.
Well, you would appreciate this then. The San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Speaking of San Diego,
topical.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. They are releasing Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan versus Anakin on the Battle of Mustafar with the platform and like a lava prop underneath it. It's pretty sick.
Wait, I think I did see that.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, it looked great.
Yeah, it looks good. I won't buy it, but it looks good. I'm picky about mine.
I know. I look at these things and I'm like, that looks great. It's not getting my money because I don't have that.
I did order the Temple Guard figure that they just also released. So, thank you. I appreciate your interest in this.
That gets a woo from me.
Yeah.
So a couple other quick Jurassic Park thoughts I had from the last couple weeks. Upon watching Jurassic Park 1 for the podcast, it's been a little while since I'd seen it. What really struck me was how little Malcolm had to do post T-Rex encounter, and how he rarely spoke. And there was quite a few just long silent shots of him. What I learned was he was supposed to die in the T-Rex scene, and it was not until they were on set and Goldblum was just so electric that they decided to keep him alive. And in the rest of the film, that is why he speaks so little. But Spielberg, knowing how beautiful this man was and how much of a draw he would be, just kept putting in long shots of him just staring past the camera.
He was on morphine, maybe, unbeknownst. He was just 1,000 yards staring.
And
which will bring us into the Lost World.
Yes. No, we have a lot of Goldblum talk.
I think
for
Cameron's
sure.
putting off.
No, I mean, I'm not putting it off per se. I am very interested to hear Bailey's thoughts for sure.
You're leading us into it.
But Jurassic Park 1 is just so good that I've learned more since last week and had more thoughts. So here's a thought that I had. In thinking about the differences between the film, one of my favorite elements of the book, not necessarily the narrative element, but the visual thought of it, is when they Tim realizes using the night vision goggles is that there is velociraptors on the boat that is leaving. I just love that image, and I kind of wish it was in the film. I understand why the film chooses not to add a whole other element of the dinosaurs getting off the island, because that would add a lot of time, and the film is very concise and tight. But I did realize is the film does somewhat miss the point of the book, in that the big point of the book is that in creating the dinosaurs, they created something that was inherently unpredictable and therefore impossible to control. In the film, a majority of the issues they run into are mechanical, and that results in the dinosaurs getting out. But in the book, the dinosaurs were escaping on their own, even without mechanical failures. That we see
finds a way.
Exactly. The life finds a way issue is much stronger in the book, is what I'm saying. And while I really, really love the film, and I do think the film is the superior version of the story, I did realize just in a retroactive analysis that I actually retroactively kind of agree with our friend Caleb. To sum up for you, Bailey, our friend that we had on last week, his analysis was that he really liked characters like Arnold and Madoon, because if they were left to their own devices and were not over controlled by someone like Hammond, the park could have worked. And in the film, I think that is true, actually, that if there had not been the mechanical failures, the park would have been fine. But
I think
that's in the film. The book thing, I think things would have gone awry no matter what.
The book is also more clear, because Hammond talks always like, "Oh, we spared no expense." He absolutely cheaped out on everything he could.
Yes,
it's very apparent in the book. That man was a penny pincher.
Even the movie has like elements of that. I think the vehicles that they drive at the time were some of the cheapest on the market.
Interesting.
Some of those Rovers, like they were not
the
top of the line. They were constantly breaking down, and some of the most unreliable Jeeps out there.
Interesting. Well, there you go. That's a great note.
Yeah.
I feel like I had one other Jurassic Park note, but I don't have it written down. So, okay. Well, now it's time to talk about The Lost World. The film's title in the film does not have a colon, so it's just Lost World Jurassic Park.
No.
The book is just The Lost World.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, The Lost World is a very, very famous novel from the early 1900s about explorers finding an island that have dinosaurs on it. So it's kind of like King Kong, just without King Kong. But so that's what this title is referring back to. And I know Rachel is very excited to talk about the book. So Rachel, in thinking about the fact that we have a whole other film to talk about, where do you want to take us in discussing the book?
I just want to talk, well, I think I'm going to start off with character differences and then just basic plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I'm asking permission.
You just time is we don't have, if we spend as much time as we did last time on the book, then we will be here for 3 hours.
Significantly less notes.
Okay.
See, so this is the bottom of my notes.
Like, we don't need to go through every character.
I didn't put
Okay, I'm just saying, just hit the highlights for us.
Let's start with the movie so I can figure out my book notes then.
Okay.
Ian's alive,
Ian
just
Malcolm,
like he was in the first movie.
Yes.
But unlike the ending of the first book, where it's implied he died, and at the start of the book, he goes, "I'm alive. They covered up my death."
Exactly.
The other ones or whatever.
He pulls a Palpatine. The reports of my death were wildly exaggerated or whatever.
Somehow Ian Malcolm returned.
Yeah, somehow Ian Malcolm returned.
I feel like the movie manages to be somehow simultaneously simple and overly complicated at the same time. Because I think you can describe it in a couple sentences. They try to go back to No, not back. They go to the second island where they raise the dinosaurs. A corporation's trying to get them off. And Malcolm just goes to save his girlfriend, right?
So
that's the whole reason he's there.
The main plot is that Hammond is also still alive, but he's not doing very well. He is no longer in charge of InGen. His nephew, Peter Ludlow, is in charge. And they're in bankruptcy, and they're trying to figure out as many plans as possible. Hammond reveals to Ian Malcolm, who is also, it's implied, he's very clearly been talking about his experience on the island. He's
the crazy dinosaur guy.
Yeah. I think Peter Ludlow mentions to him that he broke a non-disclosure agreement. Very open, very clear about it, which is different in the book, which we'll talk about. And so he goes to visit Hammond, and Hammond says, hey, I want a group of people to kind of go check out the island because InGen's kind of making moves, and this is a preserve that shouldn't be touched. And so he has this small group of people, and he goes, Sarah Harding is already there. And Ian Malcolm goes, you sent my girlfriend to the island. So they are confirmed dating. Significantly less black leather.
I do like the line where he goes, this is no longer a research operation, this is a rescue mission.
Yep, exactly.
Like, cool.
Yeah, see, I guess that's a good time to bring up is I think that actually kind of reflects the issue with Malcolm in this film is that they tried to turn him into the main character.
Into a badass.
And it leaves Goldblum with almost nothing to do as an actor. I feel he seems almost mad to be there. And my reading of his performance is he does not want to be there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the character doesn't want to be there, but
I did not like him in the movie. He has some good, fun, iconic lines that I appreciate, but ultimately, I think they went the wrong way with Ian Malcolm, with just making him embittered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which
good call.
Could have been stronger and more interesting if maybe he did have like some form of like psychological damage from the original park and his experience there with the T-Rex attack, with getting off the island. I don't think he ever interacted with the raptors specifically. I think the only dinosaurs he interacted with were the Triceratops and the T-Rex.
Yeah.
And after that point, he just gets off. Oh, and the Brachiosaurus he saw in Parasaurolophus. Like everyone else. But besides that, he didn't get much dino action.
No, he didn't. So he starts his mission. He meets up with Eddie Carr to get some supplies, the big 2-part camper that everyone sees. And then they head to the island. They also pick up Nick Van...
Vaughn.
Oh, sorry, what?
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, very young Vince Vaughn, who I think is totally out of his depth in an action movie.
Oh, is that Nick Van Owen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because he goes on to become much more famous for like comedies, like Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, he was dead serious for a videographer. No offense, but he was he was acting like it was the military. So we have Nick Van Owen, who's a videographer, and then also we are introduced to Kelly, who is Ian Malcolm's daughter, in this film, and so I don't think we're all that surprised that Ian Malcolm's kind of a deadbeat dad based on his prior performance, but
He talked about all his
previous
all his failed
Malcolms
marriages.
Yeah. In usual kid fashion in Jurassic Park, she sneaks along by the time they're on the island, and it really doesn't take them all that long to find Sarah Harding, and she's just been...
They kind of just like find her almost immediately, right?
After a couple of really weird enunciated Sarahs.
She's that's another thing. She's out in the open, like in front of them, while they're yelling Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
And then she acts surprised that they snuck up on her, and they act surprised that they found her. I'm like, she is standing in the middle of this open, dry creek bed, taking pictures of Stegosaurus.
Also,
and you didn't see her right there.
Yeah. Also, they used the same stock noise as the bantha for the Stegosaurus.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I was like, I know that noise.
So you're talking about them yelling as they're walking in the woods looking for this person.
It's so dumb.
Do you guys feel as if there's an almost identical scene in Jurassic Park 3, except for Dr. Grant is telling them to not do that? Do you feel like that's almost like Jurassic Park 3 making fun of this movie to a certain degree?
Well, it's very funny because even before they start yelling Sarah, like Jeff Goldblum is telling them like, oh, we gotta be quiet. We gotta be quiet.
Yeah.
And then they find her bag and he immediately yells Sarah. Here's my note for this scene. I put Sarah in quotes and then parentheses, once more with feeling, Jeff.
Once more with feeling. Yes.
The way he's yelling Sarah, it just does not... I'm sorry, I don't believe you. I don't believe you're actually screaming for her. It just sounds like you're just going, paycheck.
Yeah.
Give me my paycheck.
It's weird the way it's enunciated. So they find Sarah and she's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is a great nature preserve. And Ian's like, hey, we should leave. And they hear helicopters and come to find out, and they come to see that InGen, the corporation headed by Peter Ludlow, has shown up in force, and they just start like ransacking the island and capturing dinosaurs. And they have the fun little laminated list that gives me a kick. They're like flipping through the list on the Jeeps, like, what's that one?
Oh yeah, the great moment of like a
the big
Elvis
one.
Presley, and he just points at it.
Yeah, so we're introduced to kind of like the trio of main villains. So that's Peter Ludlow, the nephew, head of InGen now. And then we have... I'm dumb. Why did I write Donald Gennaro? That was the first book. We have Dieter Stark, who's... I think his only thing is just to be drunk and slightly aggressive. And then Roland Tembo, who is great value. His name escapes me.
Muldoon.
Yeah, great value Muldoon.
Yeah, I had to look up and double check to make sure this wasn't supposed to be Muldoon. Well, Muldoon died, of course. I never thought
he's
that.
got some killer lines, though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's got the hat.
Muldoon died in the movie, but did not die in the book.
Correct.
And yeah, this character, Tembo, definitely has the only character element that I enjoy in this film. He wants to hunt a T-Rex. And I think... There's just too many characters in this. Like I said, it manages to be too complicated, but also too simple at the same time. It's really just go to the island, try to capture the dinosaurs. Things go wrong. They leave the island. They bring a T-Rex to San Diego. It gets out. That's the movie, really. Like that's really it. And but the idea of someone wanting to hunt the dinosaurs, but also having respect for them, seems to be that should have been the movie there. I think, but
interestingly enough. I feel like that's where the newest movie that's coming out might work.
Yeah.
That seems to be what the premise is, you know, them going to the island with a purpose, but also with respect. It's not like hunting them down to kill them, but hunting them down for other reasons. That kind of thing. And I'm excited to see that in play, since we didn't fully get that in this, because they deleted a lot of his stuff from the final movie.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, you know, that's funny you say that. The film definitely feels like it's missing pieces and elements because it just it's overly complicated. Too many characters, but it feels like it's rushing through all this because it needs to get to the big third act in San Diego. Yeah.
So really, InGen captures a lot of animals, and our group of heroes decides to release the animals on the camp, essentially destroying a good majority of their equipment. So InGen, they're just they're in survival mode, still trying to get the T-Rex. They have also injured the baby T-Rex. They injured it and tried to use a trap to lead in a T-Rex parent. Obviously, that doesn't work. Our main heroes find the injured T-Rex, bring it back to their camper, the hide, which is you hide in it and it's high. Which
is weirdly in the book, is that right?
It is in the book, yeah.
I was shocked when I was reading through. So just
There's like four things in the book that are in the movie.
To fully more flesh out the metaphor of the way we are approaching this episode, at least for me, is the way these films are. My opinion to them is I read about a third of the book and then I read the rest of it on Wikipedia. I cannot, but then a character gets eaten in the book, right?
Yes, but it's different. But it's in that same set of events.
Yeah, it's just interesting that the high hide is like somehow this like perfectly safe place in the film, and then someone actually dies in the book. I just found that very interesting.
So they fix the baby T-Rex leg. Nick Van Owen, Kelly's in the high hide with Eddie Carr. Eddie Carr comes to the parents of the baby T-Rex show up. They get their baby back.
Let's note the T-Rexes in this franchise have ghostly footsteps.
They do.
Like straight up, I'm watching that scene and I was like, I know the parents are coming, but do they rattle the thing as they're like approaching with their footsteps? No, they appear on the far end, on the cliff side, in the window. And they all like get surprised by this. They're like, oh my gosh, it's over there. Oh my gosh, the parent is on this other side. And I'm just like, hey, I can suspend a lot of disbelief, but I'm sorry, you make a big point of these things making big, loud steps that shake the earth, and people are still surprised and have them snuck up upon.
Yeah, really the only implication that something is happening is that they're in the high hide, which, first of all, is like almost 40 feet above every single other tree, which doesn't make sense to me, just realistically.
Yeah. It's Spider-Man.
Yeah, it is Spider-Man. You just see the trees move, like Kelly sees them head towards the trailers. So the T-Rexes basically just start shoving the trailers off the cliff, and they get halfway through. Eddie Carr comes to rescue them, manages to kind of stop it before he is unfortunately eaten in a very brutal death for a good guy.
Wild.
Very.
He gets grabbed, picked up, and ripped apart at the torso.
The other sad thing is, he straight up didn't have to do anything else in that moment. He straight up didn't have to stay in the car and hit reverse and stay there. He tied it off to the tree.
Yeah, it would have been fine.
Everything. They were already grabbing onto the rope. He was just so dedicated to saving his friends and making sure they were going to stay on or have a chance on that rope that he died for it. And ultimately, they would have been fine if he had just like hid behind a tree or something like that.
So I would really love to hear your guys' opinion. I clearly this scene is trying to be the T-Rex scene from the first film, which is the scene from the first film. And I think this scene, again, represents what this film is, which is like technically very competent, is like on a theoretical level very exciting, but ultimately it doesn't compare to the suspense and the emotion and the shock and the novelty of the first one, and ultimately just kind of feels like whatever. How do you guys feel about this scene?
It's iconic enough that I remember it, but whenever I think about the T-Rex from any Jurassic film, I only think about that first movie scene because every element of it, all the suspension, all of the tension is so present. And guess what? We care about those characters, and we've spent a lot of time with them. We don't want things to go bad for some of them. Some of them, we kind of do want bad things to happen. But in this scene, I watch it and I go, if Vince Vaughn gets eaten, it's whatever.
Yeah.
If Eddie gets eaten...
That's super fair, yeah.
Sure. And then he gets eaten in a brutal way, and you're just kind of like, hang on, not like that. That's a little rough.
It's to show that nature doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
And
it's just, I don't know. It's trying to be that first scene. It's set at night. It involves vehicles. It's raining. There's mud that's causing some I don't know, wheel traction tension and people slipping in it and falling in it.
And there's just a weird
There's a cliff.
Sorry.
No, that's about it.
There's just a weird focus on comedy in it too, because Eddie asks if they need anything and they randomly throw in like a promotion for like McDonald's without saying McDonald's.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or Burger King, or whatever. It's just one of those
Big Mac with fries or something.
Yeah, I would not.
Bad.
I would be pissed. I'd be like, get me up out of this trailer. So it, it just doesn't have the build up or payoff.
Yeah, I'm now remembering. I recall from watching it. I think a huge issue with this scene is there's a lot of cuts where movement is implied between cuts, and it makes it feel like actors are just kind of teleporting around, or you're like the T-Rex will go to like push the bus or the van, and it will cut inside, and you don't actually see the T-Rex doing it. You just see it moving from the inside. You'll have things like that where like the actual impact or movement of a thing, the important detail is cut out.
Yeah, they straight up like they push the thing, and then they just kind of disappear, and the tension is just they're dangling over the cliff. And it's not like they're dangling over the cliff, and on the other side are a bunch of teeth. Like, I think the book has a very similar scene where this is kind of happening.
It does. It has a very similar scene. It's not over water, though.
Yes, it's over just a cliff.
It's still like a 200-foot cliff. Yeah, the island geography is very interesting.
Yeah,
in the book,
I remember being very confused by a lot of it.
I'd be flipping back to that map all the time. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, no, I had to keep flipping back to that. I'm glad they provided it at the beginning.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna need this.
Yeah. So.
One more thing I wanted to say about the vans. I was also shocked that they were in the book described in great detail. And to me, it really feels like... So we know that Michael Crichton wrote this book only so that they could make a movie based on it, which is bizarre that then they dramatically change it and they didn't ever need a book to begin with. The van feels very much like a thing that he wrote for them to... Like, it doesn't feel like something you would go into that great of a detail in a book unless you know it's going to be made into a movie and you're kind of giving them a setting. It just felt bizarre to be included in a book. Did you have an opinion on that, Rachel, of why this is in the book at all? The great detail of the two-trailered van?
It explains why the T-Rexes started to push it over. Because the baby had been moved, they assumed that the T-Rexes now thought that area was part of their nesting grounds.
And they see that in the film as well.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. So they push it out to get it away because it's different.
Yeah, I just like did
this
like.
One,
go ahead, Bailey.
I was gonna say in the film, I don't know if it's more like they need to get after the scene. They need to get out of the area because they consider this new area their nesting ground. But in the movie, at least the language of film, it's just the T-Rexes get their baby back, and then they just decide we're gonna push this thing over the cliff.
Sure.
Just because we want revenge. And it's like, okay, fine. Like, if they would have, like, maybe delivered that line, like, a little earlier, like, while they're going over the cliff, they're like, I don't know, why are they still coming after us? Then they say, like, the baby was here, they consider this a nesting ground, and they want us out, or something like that. I don't know. Throw a line in there, just get a little expository and cheesy in that moment. Just go ahead and do it. It would, I don't know. Would it improve the scene? No. But it might have tied back just a little further to the book.
Yeah.
So then our heroes actually get saved by the other crew.
Yeah, they get saved and found by InGen. So then we kind of have like this uneasy truce because InGen is like, hey, we don't have any equipment because someone, Nick Van Owen, screwed us over. And you know what? Do I agree with what InGen was doing? No. They have a point that all their stuff is wrecked and they don't have vehicles and now they're on foot. So they just kind of start tromping through the jungle to, I think, the extraction point, or at least to try to get a call out because I think their satellite's busted. So we get, and honestly, I didn't realize how long this tiny plot line extended, but Dieter Stark, who just kind of had like a couple of roles to just be like a jerk and push Nick Van Owen around, and also like I think be drunk, gets got by a pack of compies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now this brings up a point I wanted to bring up last week that I think is true for every single Jurassic Park movie.
Yes, this scene is canon to the Until Dawn universe.
What does
Dr.
that
Hill.
mean?
That's the guy who plays Professor Hill or Dr. Hill in the video game
Are
series.
you being for real? I did not know that.
Yeah, no, someone brought it up in a different video that I was watching about that scene, and they're like, yeah, Dr. Hill gets killed by a pack of compies. And I went, wait, what?
That's
and I looked it up.
wild.
I was like, oh my god!
Huh.
So I was just like, this is canon.
Well, it's funny that you bring up Until Dawn is like a horror video game series, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, that's what I
Well,
was...
Until Dawn is a video game by itself. However, it has an anthology series made by the people who made it.
I see.
The movie called Until Dawn is nothing close.
Nope.
But it's horror, and that's what I was going to say about Jurassic Park is I think there's arguments to be made about the first film of whether you would classify it as horror or not. Obviously, there's scary stuff, but there's actually not that much on-screen death. It's pretty tame as far
It's
as
fantasy action.
Yes.
Sci-fi.
But it seems like the compies, two different scenes with the compies in this movie that really, I would say, push this movie over into the more horror element. And it's still obviously PG-13, but just like this idea that Jurassic Park is a kid's series and the content does not support that. And I realized this sitting in the theater for the last film, and I was like, there are so many kids here, and that's because it's the only dinosaur series. There's no other dinosaur movie series to take kids to.
Sorry, while you bring that up, I do have a really funny story about Jurassic World. When we saw that, there was a group of kids in the theater in front of us, and this one annoying little turd just... I remember he took a drink from the soda that his parents brought him, and just in the middle of a scene, he yells, "I think this is Sprite!" And the parent went, "Shut up!" And then... shortly after this happened, the Indominus Rex escape happens, and as soon as it chomped that poor security guard, the kids started screaming, and the parents had to pick him up and just leave.
That's funny.
And I was like, this is great. This is what this movie is for.
This is what Michael Crichton intended from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the book is way scarier, way more gory than if they had made the book straight up, it would have been rated R for sure. I would love to know the ratio. The Jurassic Park series has to have an incredibly high ratio of kids taken out of the film, like Bailey just described.
I was one of those kids in Jurassic Park 3.
I'm looking forward to talking about childhood relationship to 3, especially because I think, especially you and me, Bailey, we're young enough to have been kids when it came out, as opposed to these first two films.
Yeah.
But so you pretty much get two iconic sequences as the heroes, or I guess 3. You have from the first book the T-Rex sticking its snout into the waterfall.
And this happens because the T-Rex kind of raids the camp because Sarah has baby T-Rex blood on her jacket, which is very dumb. And she's supposed to have worked with predators her whole life. Animal predators, I should specify. Predators her whole life, and should know that. Maybe don't just randomly hang your bloody clothes out to dry in your tent. So the T-Rex kind of comes, wakes everyone up. Everyone panics.
Wake up, guys! Time to get going!
And they run into the first part of the sequence, which is the long grass sequence.
Which is, I find, very effective.
Yeah.
I think my favorite...
I love that scene.
Yeah.
I have one problem with it.
What is that?
It is the most minute technical thing. There's a camera shot where they follow a man, and he turns around and starts screaming into the camera, and then it cuts to him screaming and flailing his arms, and from like 20 feet away, a raptor leaps out of the grass and then attacks him. So the way this is conveyed is this man stops, turns around, screams, and then a raptor appears.
I see. Him. Yeah, he was screaming at the camera.
Screaming at a raptor. He's just doing it.
He had an existential crisis when he realized he was in a film. He could see the camera or the audience, and
he was really scared to see the camera.
He peered beyond the veil for a moment.
It was MTV.
But yeah, the shot where it cuts wide and you just see the raptors, you can't really see them. You see them pushing the grass down, coming towards. If I'm remembering this correctly, Hammond's nephew is yelling to them to not go in the tall grass, and they just do it anyways. Is that what happens? Am I remembering that right?
They're panicked.
That's not
like
the nephew.
Or was it Tembo's assistant?
Tembo's assistant.
That's who.
Someone is yelling, "Don't go in the tall grass."
They're both bald men with glasses.
Hello, we are in the middle of Pride Month, honey. They are lovers.
Oh, is that your read?
Did you see how devastated he was when he found out?
He was actually really devastated.
Is it Ajay? Is that who we're talking about?
I forgot his name.
I think you're right, Ajay.
Regardless, some man yells in a British accent, "Don't go in the tall grass," and they, from what I could tell, they just ignored him. I wanted to confirm that my reading was right on that.
Panicking. Don't forget about the guy who tripped falling from who was running from the T-Rex, tripped, fell, got stepped on, and was squished with enough force that his body stuck to the T-Rex foot and he got stepped on again.
It's great.
What a way to go.
That is one of the worst VFX shots in this entire franchise. I was watching it and I was like, oh god, you could see like all of the outlines of the CG.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a great point, Bailey. That I most noticed this when we get into the main raptor attack against our main heroes. Is they try? I think the first film is such a beautiful example of restraint because the technology is so new that they knew that they really did not want the new technology to look bad, so they tried to mask it in ways that they could. This film, it's only 5 years later. It's 93 to 98, I think, or 97. It's 97, so it's only 4 years later, but still the technology has progressed enough that they feel more confident, but that confidence, I feel, much like the Jurassic Park series teaches us, you need to trust, you need to have respect for the thing you're using. They try to do too much, and I think the raptors are way less scary because they're more frequently CGI, and when they are practical...
Too preoccupied with whether or not they could.
Exactly.
They didn't consider whether or not they should.
I don't know, how do you guys feel about the main raptor attack against our heroes in the village area?
It's too comedic.
It's
too comedic.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
Like, I watched it and I was like, this is all slapstick. I feel
That's a good point.
Ear tension. And, like, again, it's another moment of just, like, this is poor editing, poor decision-making. The daughter, the infamous gymnastic kick.
Yep.
Well, I'm watching this, and I remember it comes up. She just starts doing that, and then the raptor jumps into place for her to kick it. She just started doing flips on the bar.
Well, I think,
and then it jumps up, and she yells, "Hey!" and then she kicks it.
I think one of the things, definitely comparing between these movies, is that in the first movie, Tim and Lex, whenever they were around dinosaurs, it felt like they were in just as much danger as the rest of the cast. The tension of the cafeteria scene, that's terrifying. Like, they felt like they're in actual danger. Kelly has never felt in danger this entire film.
Sure.
No.
And I think that's because I think this series starts a big problem, especially with the raptors, but it's a problem across all of horror / monster creature features, is the consistent that the monsters rear up too frequently rather than attacking. They spend a dramatic amount of time rearing up, which gives the main hero enough time to escape or someone to stop the monster. In this sequence, the raptors rarely ever do a direct attack against the heroes. They're constantly rearing up. And I know there's kind of an element of like the raptors hunt for fun, but it makes them feel very pacified. And I think I totally agree with you. I think that's a big reason why no one ever feels in danger, because the raptors are not even really attacking. They're more chasing them than actually trying to kill them.
Yeah.
I would also say, to Bailey's point about it being too funny, I think it is too comedic, though I think 90% of the time I don't like this film, but every once in a while there's a small part that I do like, and it is when, I believe it was, Malcolm runs into a hut, one of the raptors crashes through the window, and he just immediately runs back out. That got a giggle out of me.
It's a little funny.
That one got me. There's also, kind of going off of that juxtaposition, the element of horror. There is a good jump scare in this. It's when they're trying to dig themselves out from under there. I always forget that the raptor literally just juts its head right under there.
Allison screams so loud.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's such an effective one. Because it's not like stung by like a sound effect of like boom. It's just the raptor noise and the character screaming and just like the suddenness of it. You're like, oh, they can get out now. Wait. And like right as your brain is realizing a jump scare could happen, it just hits. It's a perfectly timed one.
How do you guys feel about the
I'm
raptors
willing to
digging?
forgive a good jump scare.
Like the raptors trying to dig to get into the room. It feels a little too silly for me. It doesn't quite.
The digging part, yes, but the sticking its head under that section to try to catch the thing coming out of the hole, that was the effective part.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure the first book said they had to dig the raptor cage way deeper because they were digging out from underneath it.
No, I'm not questioning the logic of it, just the visual. Like the raptors are scary to me when they're like I think I always go back to the kitchen scene from the first film. What's great about that scene is that they are hunting for Lex and Tim, and you see them thinking, you see them. They're prowling around. It's the immediate danger, and obviously, Sattler stuck in the basement with one. Those are great sequences because the raptor's both physically strong and can think through things. But just the sequence of the raptors trying to dig into the hut and the two human characters trying to dig out. That just the digging being the main action is a bizarre choice in my opinion. And a sequence I think is trying to be it's the raptor sequence. There's no more raptors the rest of this film. This is the raptor sequence for the film, and it's
very abrupt.
Yeah, so I was curious if you guys had any opinions on that.
It's a scene in a film. It's a scene in the movie.
That is factually accurate.
Oh, yeah. Vince Vaughn manages to get to that location, no problem.
Yeah.
And they set up his scene of, like, getting in there and, like, calling as, like, this, like, tense, like, oh, something's gonna jump out of the shadows and get him. And I'm like, we're spending a lot of time with him.
And not a...
dials in and gets the helicopter. Okay.
And not a single mention of the groundbreaking geothermal power plant.
Okay. That's a great note I wanted to talk about for a moment was the book. The thing that the movie, so I think the only thing I consistently enjoy about Jurassic Park sequels that are not in the first movie is the destroyed parks. Because obviously the park in the first one is very new, very shiny, everything's there. It's not occupied, so there's this kind of interesting liminal element to it, but it's still very fresh and good. All of the sequels constantly shows, even Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World shows us broken down parts of the park. I always find that aesthetic interesting. It's kind of an interesting setup of, glass with lots of mold and moss on it, broken windows, broken down things. This is obviously the first one that does it, but I really enjoyed the exploration of the abandoned facility in the book that's not present in the film. And then obviously that results in them finding, I really think it's really cool. That they discover, because obviously when they first get there, they're like, the power still works. What's going on? I immediately assume, there's just someone still here working. And then you learn, no, everyone is gone. And I might be wrong because I didn't finish the book, but everyone has been gone, but the power's continued because they're using this geothermal element. That's fast. That's a cool idea to me of like, you find this abandoned place, the power's on, and then you figure out, no, this place is still functioning because it's just geothermal. That's a unique idea of how do you have power still going but no one's there. It's just a unique element that I enjoyed.
Yeah, so I'm excited to talk about the book. So they get rescued, and as they're being helicoptered over the island, Roland Tembo did manage to trank the buck, the male T-Rex, who is smaller than the female, just important to realize. So bit of an easier target. They grab the baby, and then they go, we're going to take him to San Diego and put him in a zoo.
Hammond's nephew was like, Hammond's problem was he wanted to put them on an island. My brilliant idea is we should bring them to society. This is a great idea.
So They really skip the whole boat ride. There's a bunch of they're in San Diego basically. In that next scene, the boat is coming. They're like, the boat's coming in too fast. Boat crashes in.
This freaking boat.
Yeah, boat crashes into the dock. They go in and everyone is dead. Personally, I was very. It makes no sense.
Zero sense.
Do you know how it would have made sense? If
it were
raptors, there is no reason for the man who was piloting the ship at the wheel to only have left his arm like at the elbow.
And the entire structure is totally fine. There's no physical evidence that a T-Rex could have caused this damage on this small of a boat. And the boat's fine.
And he's in the cage. Well, he's in like the lower deck. So they're like, oh, what's going on? This isn't good. And in fashion, they start pressing buttons and let out the cargo door, and the big old T-Rex comes. They have separated the baby from him. It's in the fake zoo that they're it's a real zoo, but whatever.
They just left it alone, crying in the middle of this.
They did. They left the baby, and so the dad comes out, and he's pissed, as the valid reaction. And so then, this is the only note I made. San Francisco scene, but it accidentally autocorrected to Sam Francisco scene, and then I just have ugh.
And then you also realize this wasn't San Francisco, this was San Diego.
Yeah, I was that out of it. I was like, wow, this is just, I hate this part. So the Rex just starts running down San Diego, killing people, hunting. I'm
gonna be honest, I love this scene so much. This is what I wanted from Jurassic World and sequels. This is what I wanted Jurassic World Dominion to be. Was more of this.
You got a point there.
And what did we get?
Jurassic World Dominion.
Bugs.
Yeah.
Bugs.
Bug.
We will get there in about a month or so.
Yeah.
The very awful Jurassic World Dominion that has the setup of there are dinosaurs everywhere. Oh, actually, we're going to focus on giant.
We've captured all of them and they're all in captivity again. Yeah. Anyway, bugs.
I cannot wait to talk about what an absolute ecological nightmare the next trilogy will be, but we'll talk about that next trilogy. So they go, Sarah Harding and Ian go get the baby T-Rex so they can lure him back to the boat. They lure him back to the boat. The T-Rex eats a dog. I have vivid memories that the T-Rex ate the family through the window.
Yeah. I also feel that Mandela effect.
Okay, thank you, because they're like, what's he going to look for? He's going to look for water, and then he's probably going to hunt. So he drinks out of a pool. That probably had to be the worst tasting water he'd ever had. That's chlorine. Yeah. He eats a dog.
That's chlorine.
And the kid's like, there's a T-Rex in our backyard. And they're like, go to bed. They argue, and they see the dinosaur through the window, the T-Rex through the window. The kid takes a picture, and it flashes, and T-Rex roars. I could have sworn that the family got through the window, but
yeah, I don't know if maybe it was like some sort of childhood nightmare or something.
Maybe
where I was experiencing that scene as a child.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I was the child. Did we all have the same collective trauma nightmare?
We all have the same hive mind nightmare.
I only really seen this movie, I think, once all the way through before, so I just had zero memories about it, period.
I definitely had that feeling. Maybe it was like a deleted scene or maybe it was like an idea that they pitched, and they're like, we probably shouldn't do that. So they lure the
T-Rex. Shouldn't kill a family.
Yeah, in their home, in their PJs, that's pretty dark. So they lure the T-Rex back. There's also a weird shot of a group of, like, Japanese businessmen.
Yes.
Running away.
They're screaming about how they left Japan to get away from this.
Yeah. Think that goes on the list. So
see, this movie's not even fun enough to even really have a really strong. Bailey, in case you don't remember, is our trademark things that make us go And we had a long list of it for Jurassic Park 1, but there's not as many. I mean, obviously it's present in this film, but it's just like not as fun to talk about.
No. So they lure the T-Rex back to the boat. They trank him.
Quickly, I just wanted to ask Bailey, like, why is that whole sequence like, why do you like that? Because my opinion is, I went in thinking, oh, this is clearly the best part of the movie, and I was pretty it's technically incredibly impressive, but I found myself, and I have an analysis of this, but I found myself very let down by the sequence. Why do you say this is the good sequence of the film?
I wouldn't say it's the best scene in the film, but it is my favorite. And a part of it is just like I have that bias of Jew films, monsters stomping through the city, which apparently Spielberg, before the Godzilla movie came out in the 90s, the American one,
the bad one,
he really wanted to make a Godzilla movie.
Interesting.
But Toho was still making Godzilla films, and they basically were like, no, you guys can't make a Godzilla movie. So...
And then we almost screwed it up. I hate the 1998 Godzilla film, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Actually, not sorry.
Anyway... So this was his way of essentially kind of pitching... This is what my Godzilla film would kind of be like.
I see.
Which ultimately does kind of go against a lot of the Toho Godzilla rules that they imposed.
Yep.
Even on the 97, 98 film for Roland Emmerich. And Roland Emmerich still did not follow those rules. And that's why they were like, America doesn't get Godzilla for a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Spielberg really wanted to make a Godzilla film. And I watched this scene with that in mind, and I just go, yeah, I see the vision. I see it. It's like J.J. Abrams really wanted to make a Star Wars film, but they gave him Star Trek. So what did he do? He turned Star Trek into a Star Wars film. And then they gave him a Star Wars film eventually.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different discussion. I love this scene. I just like seeing things that are just out of their element and causing chaos.
Mm-hmm. Chaos theory.
Fair enough. I feel the sequence doesn't work as well for me because I'm trying to think about, okay, what makes the first film work as far as these similar scenes of destruction with the T-Rex that is not present in the second one. And I think what's present in the first one it really comes down to the characters involved. Is once we get to the T-Rex scene in the first one, you know every person involved. It's only a couple of them, and you know all of them, and you know when they behave, it's either like you understand why they behave that way, or it's like a nice surprise. Kind of like Gennaro running away is kind of a funny surprise, and then him getting eaten is also a surprise. And then the way Malcolm tries to be the hero, but he's bad at it, and he almost gets killed. Like all that, and also the way Grant tries to save the kids, that's surprising, and the way the kids are frightened, like all of that works so well. None of that is present here in the second one. Go ahead.
I'm thinking about it now. I think why I like this scene is because I got to the end of the movie, and this is just the little treat they're dangling. And Fair. I go, oh, finally, something that makes me feel like different from what I've been feeling. Because I remember being so bored during the Tyrannosaurus chase into the raptor scene. And then we get to this, and I'm like, excitement. It's the Phantom Menace effect.
Sure.
It's the Phantom Menace effect.
That's so fair.
You got through the bad movie, and you get to that final third act sequence that is just kind of fun and mindless, and you just go, wow, that was awesome. And then you go home and tell your friends, you gotta go see this movie. And then they're like, that was awful, but I like the last scene. And you're like, uh-huh. Yeah.
I think that's fair. Anyways, so after this, they get the dinosaur.
They bring the T-Rex back. Peter Ludlow is in the cargo room. I can't remember how he gets there. I think he gets like picked up and brought there. And basically, the T-Rex uses Peter Ludlow as a hunting training for the baby. And Peter Ludlow gets eaten by the baby. They trank the big T-Rex, shut him down, and then they close the boat door.
They close the door and then they just push the boat.
Don't they?
Open, mix it back.
Yeah, no, it had like, so the movie ends with the island being broadcast to the entire world with multiple aircraft carriers making sure that another containment doesn't happen again. But I think it's a little overkill, because I think if a T-Rex managed to escape in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or Atlantic Ocean, it's going to die. Like it will not be able to swim that far. But so it's like, oh yay, happy ending. Everything's okay. Now everyone knows about the dinosaurs. And the question is, what do we do about the dinosaurs? And
the real question I have is, why is John Hammond not in Guantanamo Bay?
oh my gosh. They're like, what do we do with
everyone endeared to him?
Yeah, he's like, what do we do with the island? He's like, this should be a nature preserve. And it's like, you are responsible for all of these deaths, actually.
All this blood is on your hands, sir.
Yes.
I don't care that you played Santa Claus in Miracle on 34th Street.
We don't care if you just
life in prison.
we don't care if you just wanted to make a zoo for the kitties. Like, you should be in jail. You should be facing severe federal lawsuits.
Oh my God, yes.
And that's the end of the film, right?
Interpol
Yes.
should be breaking down his house.
Yeah. EPA was already on his ass in the book.
So to transition into
The book.
I want to ask you, Rachel. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things. The way you've positively talked about the book, I'm sure there's a lot of things that were in the book that you wish were in the film. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that the film did that was not in the book that you liked? Is the film doing anything better, or is it almost exclusively you like the book better?
The book is better, in my opinion.
Okay, so there's nothing in the film that like going to San Diego, for example. Like there's you would prefer a much more direct adaptation of the book. Okay, so what are some of your favorite elements from the book?
Well, I think I just want to talk about just the main plot differences, and it won't be too long. So it's a very smaller, contained story, and it doesn't go to San Diego. When I was reading the book, I'm like, when are we going to San Diego? We don't go. That might have been one of the best decisions they made. That's just my personal opinion. It is a significantly smaller cast. There is no huge InGen trying to get the dinosaurs to a zoo. It's Biosyn again, the competitor. So we have Ian Malcolm. We do have Sarah Harding. We have a character who's not really who's not mentioned at all. His name is Richard Levine. That's who they go to rescue, because he has been trying to find this island and the dinosaurs, because Ian Malcolm won't talk about it. He won't talk about it at all in the book. That's different from the movie. He didn't break his non-disclosure agreement. We have a Dr. Thorne who built all the cars. We do have Eddie Carr, Return of the MVP. And there are two kids, Kelly and Arby. Yes. Kelly is in no relation to Ian Malcolm. Kelly is not his random daughter. There's just two kids. Our main trio of villains is Lewis Dodgson. Granted, they couldn't bring him back.
We got Dodgson here.
They do eventually in the film series. They just needed to recast him, and
they have to recast him because
we don't talk about the original actor from
he
the
was
first film.
doing things he should not.
There's a reason why he was recast.
We also have he's a professor named Basilton, and then Dodgson has an assistant, kind of like almost like how Ajay was to Roland Tembo. Whether they were lovers or not is not as clear in the book, but to Lewis Dodgson. So there are three bad guys.
It was pretty clear to me.
Yeah. So our good guys go to rescue Richard Levine. He went before he got stranded, and he's just happy to be there on this like untouched preserve. And then the three villains go to kidnap dinosaur eggs so they can patent them for Biosyn. It never leaves the jungle. The main bad guys die in various different ways. Eddie Carr does die, though he gets ripped out of the hide by a raptor instead of getting got by the T-Rex. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, MVP Eddie Carr. He's better MVP in the movie than in the book, honestly. Eddie Carr was probably done better off in the movie, if I had to give it that. They escape, and that island is not broadcasted. They are taking that to their graves. So that's really the main.
They mentioned the lysine contingency.
They do mention the lysine contingency. And here's the other thing that I noticed. In the book, it was very clear that the compies were poisonous. Like if you got
they
bit
can
by,
paralyze you with a bite.
apparently the compies on the Lost World are not poisonous by like putting you to sleep, because Richard Levine got bit by one and he never fell asleep. But the main issue is that there's a prion disease going around all the dinosaurs. That's a way worse disease. Like prions, so they're, and at the end they're like, "Oh, Richard, you'll be fine. We'll just get you medicine." That's a horrifying way to go. It's seemingly hopeful. There's a little bit of humor there that they'll just get him some antibiotics. Holy cow, that's way more horrifying.
Yeah, no.
That's so awful. So, those are kind of the main things. This is the mention of the 5 Deaths Island chain, though, which Isla Nublar is not a part of. Completely different island, completely separate. So I really liked how small this was. I think comparatively, I like the small cast. It's better than just having like 40 random dudes running around the forest. Yep. There were some, I think, pretty chilling moments, especially with the Carnotauruses.
Yes, I was hoping you would bring up my favorite dinosaur.
So
my little chameleon boys.
Good. Yes. So they're trying to find gas. So they have electric powered vehicles. Those are the Jeeps they have. But Dodgson brought a Jeep, like a gas powered Jeep, these Jeeps. And so they're trying to find gas so they can get away. And so as they're looking, there's a gas station. There's a workers camp, the whole Site B. It's an expansive lot because they'd be living there. And he notices something against the fence that's not moving, and someone turns the lights on in the gas station nearby when they get the power, and it showcases the Carnotaurs have perfect camouflage and they adapt in real time, and he sees them. They eventually ward them off by flashing a bunch of flashlights at them, and they couldn't keep up, so they get frustrated and they leave. But it's so scary. They're so quiet. No one dies to them. They're just there.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, you should read the book.
Those Carnotaurus in the arcade shooter game.
Yes.
As one of the bosses. And it does camouflage.
Yes, and the raptors won't go to that area because it's the Carnotaurus territory. The other thing about the velociraptors is, so in the first book they talk about how the velociraptors on the main island have a really big family dynamic. They do not here. They are just violent and they kill everything else and each other.
Yeah.
So my other thought, if I had a nickel for every traumatic leg injury that Malcolm has had from a dinosaur attack that results in him being on morphine and being philosophical, I would have 2 nickels. Basilton, the random professor, well, he's not a random professor, he's more important in the book. He gets got by a T-Rex. The assistant to Lewis Dodgson has a long grass scene himself. He is running from the velociraptors, and he kind of makes it a good, decent distance before he eventually gets got. So the very similar scene with trying to rescue the T-Rex that was injured when Dodgson one of the bad guys stepped on its leg in the nest while they were stealing eggs. They were able to get into it by having a supersonic weapon that just really disoriented the dinosaurs. And honestly, Lewis Dodgson dies at the end of this book, and I thought it was so very satisfying. They gave Lewis Dodgson's death to Peter Ludlow in the Lost World movie, but it's still on the island and still absolutely horrifying because it's not just one baby T-Rex, there's 3.
Yeah.
So I personally liked it, I think, just because we got to see more of InGen, of the actual plant. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Thanks for that rundown. No, definitely, that actually kind of makes me want to even read the book at some point. It sounds like it would have been a more interesting, smaller film. Rachel is slowly handing me the book.
Do you want it back?
Maybe. Bailey, do you have any final thoughts about Lost World before we talk about JP3?
It should remain lost.
Okay, Ian Malcolm.
The Lost VHS.
Jurassic Park, The Lost Media.
Oh, yeah, hold on. The thesis of this... What the... Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
USB device not recognized. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We got you.
Thank God, my USB microphone is still intact.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Ian Malcolm's morphine-fueled rant in this book was actually about evolution,
Yeah.
which I didn't really agree with it. But I was like,
Oh yeah, that's why he goes. That's why he wants to go to the. He actively wants to go to the island with his bestie, because he wants to be like, oh, I can learn about evolutionary theory.
He wants to prove Richard Levine wrong. So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Jurassic Park
the
3.
thesis of the entire series is rich people suck.
Yeah, eat the
And
rich.
that's how we get
Literally.
That's how we get to Jurassic Park 3, baby.
Jurassic Park 3 takes, I would say, a relatively interesting turn up to be just more of a straightforward dinosaur film. There's very little ambition to this movie as far as story. It is just, there's a kid stuck on
Isla
Sorna from the second movie. We need to go save him.
Sipey.
Things immediately go wrong, and they have to get off the island, and that's it.
Yep,
that's the whole movie, and
It is the shortest one in the franchise.
Is it really that? Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's a real big plus.
Shortest one in the franchise. Thank God.
Yes, and
I think it's funny, just for context. Cameron texted me Monday night and said, hey, are you available tomorrow night, Tuesday, to come watch Jurassic Park 3 with us? And I said, yes, I am. But is this a bad time to tell you I'm an hour and 10 minutes into Jurassic Park 3? We hadn't watched them all together at all.
And so they bring back. So actually, I want to talk about directors real quick. So the first two, directed by Steven Spielberg. I actually was just reading, and I learned that the man who did end up directing Jurassic Park 3 his name is I had it here a second ago. Where is it? He actively campaigned to direct 2. But Spielberg wanted to come back, and ain't no one saying no to
They should have.
old Spielberg.
They should have.
And so his name is Joe Johnston, who was a major part of the visual effects for the Star Wars series. So he comes from Industrial Light and Magic, so he has a visual effects background. He also worked on the Indiana Jones films. I did not know this. He directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. This is his first film. Second film I did know, The Rocketeer. He also directed Jumanji, and then he does Jurassic Park 3, and has since, his most famous film since is Captain America: The First Avenger. And JP3, we get, what JP3 I think proves is who is the real magic of the first film. It's Sam Neill as Dr. Grant. He gets to play the same character, and I think that really, really works, as opposed to Goldblum not getting to really play the same character in 2. And yeah, I just want to hear. I mean, really, the character stuff with Sam Neill is fun, but obviously, I would say what makes Jurassic Park 3 a lot of fun is the actual dinosaur stuff itself. What do you guys like or not like about Jurassic Park 3?
There's so many practical effects.
Sorry, what'd you say, Bailey?
I said I would like to start.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was interrupting.
You're fine.
I have a really important bit that needs to be done.
Go for it.
Or else they'll forget it. So, we have a Chekhov's gun in this film with Sam Neill's character. So,
except for it's not a gun.
First time that we see him is whenever he is with Sadler's child and in Sadler's house, where we learn they are not together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And while he is in their house, he is talking to a parrot and saying, "Say my name, Alan.
Yes.
Alan, say my name." This pays off very shortly. In a scene where he is on the plane having a nightmare, and a raptor, a bird of prey, says his name, Alan.
So
And then that is never brought up ever again.
So when we were watching it, when he was talking to the parrot, I looked at Cameron and I just went, Alan. And Cameron had never made that connection before.
I had never realized that they set up. obvious. I mean, okay, so.
Well,
I'm gonna go real broad,
I
real
don't
quick.
think this was intentional at all. This was absolutely
I actually think it was, and I'm excited.
No, they're
to explain
setting up.
why.
It's a setup and payoff. It's a punchline.
No, I think beyond that too.
Beyond what exactly?
Go, just do you talk your part, and I'll talk my part.
I just want to set up a big part of my reaction to watching Jurassic Park 3 last night, which is the first time in a very long time, is that I think this may have been my first Jurassic Park film. If not, I watched it as you do when you're a kid, and I was 6 when this movie came out, maybe even 5, depends on what time of year. It was probably later. I was probably 6 when it came out on VHS. As you do when you're a kid, you watch it when you rent it from the store. For some reason, you would rent it for a whole week back in the day. It was a ridiculous time, the early 2000s. And I probably watched it multiple times, and then every time you'd rent it, you'd have it for another week, so you'd watch it multiple times because you're a kid. I watched this movie, I'm realizing, probably quite a few times as a kid. And so even though I've not seen it in a very long time, a lot of it is burned into my brain. So why the heck is the raptor saying Alan just permanently part of my brain of anytime I hear that name, the name Alan, I imagine this stupid raptor from this movie saying Alan. I'm glad you brought it up, Bailey. Why do you think this scene is so memorable?
It's the best scene in the movie because it is the first time we have canonically heard a dinosaur speak in this franchise.
Well, canonically, in big quotes, I'd say.
In big quotes. You know what I want? I want the new movie to get weird. I really want like a T-Rex to be like, "Hello, how are you doing today?" And they're all like, "Oh my god!" And then they all start shooting it. I really want that.
I would argue
need this payoff.
I would argue that it sets up more than just the comedic timing because he's trying to get so parrots can talk. They have the voice ability to do that. Whether it's the consciousness of speaking is a whole other conversation. But
Yes.
so it pays off. It's got the joke. But the whole rest of the film puts such a heavy emphasis on how the velociraptors are communicating to each other. They have very specific voices that they're doing, very specific chirps. They call for help. They're talking, quote unquote, to each other. And so at the end, ultimately, what kind of helps distract the raptors a little bit is that it's a 3D printer. That's what it is. They call it something super fancy in the movie. The 3D printed
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, the 3D printed raptor Ocarina of Time. That kind of plays into saving them. So I would say that yes, it's super goofy, but it does have a bit of a longer payoff.
I always interpret that final scene where he's blowing into that thing and all the raptors are like looking around like what? I always interpret that as just like him blowing into it and he's just like yelling slurs at the raptors. And
he's
they're all
calling
like,
them the worst
What
thing.
the heck, man? Now we really want to kill you.
I told Cameron it was like when you go to a restaurant and you order in the language of the restaurant and the waiters kind of look at you like, he's trying. So
bless your heart.
Yeah, he's trying. So yeah, Alan is like, I'm never going on a dinosaur island again. Thank you very much. Until he gets tricked. He kind of gets tricked into going to an island. He is never going to accept a donation check from a man and get on a private jet ever again. It's happened to him twice. So we have the Kirbys, Paul and Amanda, who are saying, spouting lies that they have permission to fly low over.
Fly over.
Yeah, fly
never touch
over.
down on it.
Yes. In reality, they are looking for their son who has been stranded on that island for 8 weeks, and they land. They wanted Alan with them, as it comes out later, they're like, we wanted someone who'd been on the island before to show us around. And he goes, I've never been on this island because it's Site B. So they get stranded. Their plane gets wrecked by the antagonist of this film, which is the Spinosaurus.
Heck yeah, man. Okay, I never got a straight, clear answer from you, Rachel. Is this a real dinosaur or not?
Okay, so the reason... Yes. Okay, so yes, the Spinosaurus is real. However, just about yes, the interpretation changes. Like that is a very early 90s interpretation. If you were to look up what scientists really think a Spinosaurus looks like now, it is mostly a very heavy water dweller. It's a little chunkier. The sail is used more for like swimming. There will be Spinosauruses in the new film. They're just probably going to look way different.
A little more accurate, but still are monsters.
This is science does a really good job, at least in early interpretation of dinosaurs, of shrink wrapping them. Which so we don't exactly know because muscle mass obviously doesn't live in the fossil record. But so we see the Spinosaurus. That thing is a menace. That's just a hater. That's not an animal. Yes. That's a hater in snakeskin.
So this is a good time to bring up Rachel, when I asked what you like about this movie, you said very simply practical effects. I was having not seen this movie since I was a kid. Obviously, when I'm 6 years old, I know nothing about CGI and practical effects, so I don't have that in my memory. So it's upon seeing it as an adult that the moment the Spinosaurus shows up, I am shocked that a real snout is going into the crashed plane. And as they fall, you're constantly seeing shots of a real Spinosaurus. And I've not sourced this information, but I read that this is the largest animatronic ever made. It's crazy. Why does no one talk about Jurassic Park 3?
Because, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, it's like just comparatively to the first one, it falls flat. But I also know a lot of people that are like, and Bailey, I don't know if you're one of these people, I'm so sorry if you are, but I know there are a lot of people that were just like uber offended over how easily the Spinosaurus killed the Rex. But I think it's because when it first
offended by that.
Okay, I think it's because when it first came out, people assumed it was our queen Rexy. It's not. It's a young male juvenile, very inexperienced, and he held his own for a little while, and then he got killed. It is the law of nature. So I know a lot.
Also,
of people
one of the coolest shots in the movie is when he snaps the T-Rex's neck. It's amazing.
It's also kind of like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
The thing about the Spinosaurus, and just any of the dinosaurs in general in this, you can tell this is a filmmaker from ILM because these are there's so many sequences where I was watching it and I was like, this is probably the best looking Jurassic Park film as far as special effects are concerned since the first one. Even Jurassic World and all of those subsequent ones, I look at those effects and I'm just like, it's so CG. It is so fake. There's not anything practical.
Absolutely.
But this film does a wonderful blend of just like the environments with the CG and making like practicals flow into those CG elements.
So agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My really only CG complaint is the Allosaurus, which apparently had a bigger part in the movie until it was cut. It shows.
The Ceratosaurus that walks in at the end, looks into the camera and says, "These guys smell like Dookie." And
was it a Ceratosaurus? I thought it was an Allosaurus.
Ceratosaurus.
Okay, see that makes way more sense.
You can always
I was
trust
like,
Bailey to make the poop joke.
I remember I'm like, is that an Allosaurus? Doesn't really look like one. Yes, you're correct, Ceratosaurus. So yeah, apparently that was supposed to have a bigger role, but it didn't, and they cut it. The pterosaurs look fantastic. They're horrifying. They are so scary when they're trying to drown Billy in the water. Awful. They're creepy. Shoot them with the shotgun. Lead poisoning.
Is this the flying?
The flying
dinos?
ones.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So why are they not? Obviously, you guys know way more about dinosaurs than I do. Why are they not pterodactyls?
Pterodactyl is like a very specific.
Yes, correct.
Classification.
I did Google it just to make sure I was right.
Okay.
Pterosaurs is the broader.
I see.
But they're not pterodactyls.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
so we got.
Pterodactyls don't even have like that crest on their head.
Interesting.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
So we talked about practical effects. Good stuff.
They're pterodons.
Oh, I think
Pteranodons.
The thought that I had, I don't think this film is trying to say a lot, but if there's one thing it might be trying to say, something that shocked me, and Allison pointed this out, I was like, I can't believe that technology is that old. The recreation of the element of the Velociraptor they used to recreate.
Oh, yeah, it's a 3D printer.
It's 3D printed. They 3D printed the, what is it, like the inside of the skull or the nasal cavity or something?
The vocal cavity.
Yeah. And so that he's able to blow through it and ends up saving them at the end of the film. We know that the director, John Johnston, visual effects guy himself, could that be a metaphor for in a world of CGI and computer? Because in the first film, the exact same scene in the first movie is them trying to use computers to recreate the raptor
the skeleton.
And in this film, it's no, we're gonna recreate it using physical effects, and then that saves them in the film. Is Joe Johnston trying to make an argument for practical effects in the film world? I think it's possible that is the purpose of the physical vocal cavity recreation.
Yeah,
I might be looking too much into it, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's possible.
Yeah,
you're definitely looking too much into this.
That's fair. That's so fair.
But yeah, so
it's honestly, it is a good analysis, and that would make a good thesis for a podcast, for a YouTube video, and I would absolutely be like, "Hell yeah, brother!"
Hell yeah, brother.
And I would be like.
Well, there we go. That's what we're gonna start the YouTube channel. Really kick it off. Just gonna clip this bit out.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're trying to escape the island. They do find the kid. He's alive. He manages to survive. Pretty smart kid. The Spinosaurus is hunting them just because it's a hater. Like it's just a hater. They're also being pursued by the raptors because, as we find out later, Billy stole 2 raptor eggs. That's why they're being chased. The raptors aren't really hunting them. They just want their eggs back.
His name is just Billy.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's Billy.
I do want to talk about Billy for just a moment. Billy, this guy stood out to me. This guy's like a very close, second lead in this Jurassic Park film.
Yes.
With Sam Neill and William H. Macy. William H. Macy, one of the most famous actors of the 90s and 2000s. Alessandro Nivola is the actor who plays Billy. I was like, have I ever seen this guy in anything else? I don't think I have. He's had quite a robust career since he's been in a ton of movies. Last year, especially, he was in what is possibly what I have not seen it myself, but what a lot of people would consider the best film of last year and also the worst film of last year. He was in The Brutalist, which won 3 Oscars and was nominated for 9 others. He was also in Kraven the Hunter, the Marvel Sony's picture, and he had
oh my God.
the most meme-worthy moment. Are you guys familiar with the weird scream?
He was the rhino?
No, not the rhino. He was the chameleon.
Bold of you to assume I've watched a Marvel movie.
This is him.
My guys are dead.
Show the space in the podcast. The camera is showing the camera. I'm trying to call Cameron's name, but I'm calling him the camera.
That noise you just heard was
Awful.
Billy.
Well, I'm pretty sure they wrote. I talked about this last night. Pretty sure they wrote Billy.
Wait, you were playing the clip?
Yeah, that was it. That noise was.
I'm sorry, I was talking over that because I thought you were just showing a picture of the actor.
That's
Cameron.
What?
That's the rhino. That's not the chameleon.
Are you sure? I could have sworn he was playing the chameleon.
The movie. I have watched the movie.
I'm sorry.
That is the rhino.
Okay, there you go. Well, there you go. I
made fun of that scene so many times.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so funny, and that's the same actor, same guy. So Billy, about over 20 years later, is the main villain in a Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies, aka Spum.
Well,
anyways,
I'm pretty sure it was written to be the main character in case Sam Neill didn't come back for Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Last note on Alessandro Nivola, I'm also seeing here, he's in the incredible Nick Cage, John Travolta movie Face Off, where he plays Nicolas Cage is the villain of the film. He plays his even more evil younger brother.
Nicolas Cage is the villain in every film he's in.
Anyways, what other scenes do we like? So there's a lot of great dinosaur scenes. We talked about the Spinosaurus attack at the beginning.
The aviary.
I mean, that's the most distinct scene because you don't get flying dinosaurs elsewhere.
Nope.
I'm sorry. We're glossing over. A best. The sound that traumatized a generation.
Yup.
My God.
The satellite
one wants to put that ringtone on their phone anymore.
The satellite radio phone that the Spinosaurus eats that they then hear later as it's still in the Spinosaurus. And then later they have to dig through a pile of poop to find it. So they can call Ellie Sattler, whose husband works in international relations treaty law. This is a mouse tool that will come in handy later in the film.
The phone is weirdly the main crux of the film.
It's the MacGuffin.
Yes.
And I would be remiss because I know eventually Megan, our friend Megan, will listen to this and would call it out. So I have to call it out before she can. MacGuffin, technically a MacGuffin, the moment is acquired no longer means anything. It does end up being useful. It is the phone doesn't crap out or something. It does end up saving them.
It does get crapped out though.
Unlike, I don't know, maybe Muldoon is kind of a MacGuffin because he's just totally useless in the end in that first film.
My joke.
I didn't catch it. I did. I'm sorry. I missed it. What'd you say?
Yeah, you overlooked
it. It got crapped out. Yes. Good.
Add it to the list of jokes that you hear back in post-record and laugh at.
So the aviary though, very different from the aviary scene in the first book, which the first book aviary scene is quite fun because the primary conflict in it is that they get dive bombed by the dinos, the flying dinos.
I think they're not pterodons. I think they're dimorphodons.
I will take your word for it on that. I do not recall.
I think I recall it being that.
Because they're in Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah, the smaller ones. Yeah, with the big heads, as I recall, in Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty little thing.
But in Jurassic Park 3, what's up, Bailey?
I was going to say, I always thought those were just genetic hybrids.
I thought so too.
Interesting.
But
all the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park kind of are, but that would make sense.
But that leads to my next point about this film. This is the first film in the Jurassic Park franchise to imply that InGen had secret dinosaur projects.
Yes.
Because the Spinosaurus was not on their list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Billy takes a couple guesses and he's like Suchomimus because of the snout, or Baryonyx, and I almost said Sam Neill. Alan corrects him and he's like, no, it's a Spinosaurus aegypticus, and Billy goes, that's not on the list. So they were definitely cooking up some little monsters up in those things.
So here's a lore question then. Was the Spinosaurus created after Jurassic Park 2? Because otherwise, why would they not have run into it?
No, because I am fairly certain that this is explained in the movie canon, that they were simply in entirely different portions of the island territory, because the raptors are different too. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, Bailey, but there are
you're good. I'm just saying yes.
Yeah, there are distinct raptor tribes in the canon. There are 3 in Site B. We see one in Jurassic in the Lost World, the second one in the third one, and I don't know if we technically see the third one in any film canon technically, but it really just came down to they're probably in different parts of the park.
Yeah, I think I do remember they mentioned something where I think they straight up, one of the Jurassic Park official pages posted the maps of the islands and where things happened.
Yeah.
And they straight up were like, here's where the Lost World takes place. Here's where Jurassic Park 3 takes place. So it's like Jurassic Park 3 was north side and Jurassic Park The Lost World was south side.
Yeah, south side.
All my homies love the south side of Isla Nublar. Isla Sorna, I'm sorry.
I mean, I bring that up mainly because in the Jurassic World movies, they kind of lightly address that there was some sort of genetic playing around and playtesting on InGen. The new film seems to be looking into that plot from the book where they are exploring that lived-in society on the island. However, I think they've said it's going to be on a completely different island that we've not been on before in the films.
So it could be one of the other 5 deaths. Oh, no, I think that too, because the trailer shows like Mayan like ruins, which is canon to the 5 deaths.
Yep. So I think it's a different island, and I think because they have like the whole thing where there's like mutation dinosaurs that are going to be part of the plot.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And I think they're pulling from Jurassic Park 3 to play into that with like InGen was testing things way back when.
Yeah.
So I think that island in this new film is probably like their first testing site. And then Site B is where they were like, you know, making the dinosaurs to bring to the main park. Mm-hmm. So I think chronologically they do everything on that new movies site, and then Site B, they were probably like, oh, let's just make a Spinosaurus and see what happens. And they did, and they're like,
well, they were also
that's a little much.
There were also a ton of scrapped movies for Jurassic Park 3 that involved anywhere from like human dinosaur hybrids to
and we got that. We got that.
We did get that.
Little freaking Maisie, whatever her name is, they're alive like me.
Yeah. We'll talk. You'll hear us talk about the ethics of that.
Yeah.
I think the ethics. I want to talk about the ethics of including that in a movie as a twist.
Yeah.
And whether that should be allowed. Anyways, so I do want to quickly go back to the aviary scene. The book was pretty much the tension was the dive bombing. Here it's mostly the fog, as they don't know that they're in the aviary and they're crossing through the fog. And Billy had previously wrapped up a sail and uses it to save Eric. Is that his name? The kid's name?
Yeah.
I think that it's just great suspense. Looks good. It's unique from the previous 2. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts? Anything to share about that scene from you guys?
Oh, it's horrifying. Like they're so big. I will say, so the Pteranodon dropped Eric into the nest with all those little babies. If it were me, he could have just tossed those things off super easily. Like, they're goose size.
Those suckers cannot fly.
Yeah, grab them by the neck and punt them off. You're fine.
Yeah, if the parent gets mad,
womp womp.
Whoop-de-freaking-do.
Shouldn't have dropped a kid in there.
Yeah.
But
like, drop me into the water and try to poke me. I'll just swim away.
Yeah. Well, it is scary because when Billy is in the water and the other 2 pterodons are like pushing him under to drown him, the water does turn red, but the camera moves and it moves into another pterodon into the shot that just turns around and stares at the camera. Ugh.
It's such a good shot.
It is.
There's a reason why that one made it into a trailer. It's just I like this guy.
Yeah. Also, the scene. not to move away from.
Well,
the aviary.
I had one last question about the aviary for you guys. How do you feel about Billy surviving?
Does he deserve it?
For me, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
If he had died, whatever. But also, it was another moment where even as a kid, I was watching it and I'm like, I don't see his body.
Yeah.
I figured he was gonna like come back like a Tarzan thing. Or he's gonna like spear a raptor and swing on a vine. But no, he just is in the military vehicle, just like, hey guys, what's up?
I rescued your hat.
Cowabunga.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's whatever. He is not my favorite character. I mean, probably biased because I too would also be pissed if I was in a situation with that person and he was like, I stole the raptor eggs. Like, oh, you're real stupid. You're a big case of the dumb.
Very.
So he's lucky he survived. I'm guessing what happened was the current probably just carried him out another side of the cage where they couldn't follow.
What I assumed.
Because that's how Paul Kirby and Alan Grant got out. They just dove underneath and swam out. So they just didn't wait around long enough, or I guess go out the correct side. So, I mean, it was fine. It is what it is. He lives. He hasn't come back.
Yeah, that would have felt like a better, like, I feel like Dominion really wants to be the quote unquote end game, the Avengers end game of Jurassic Park, and there's already too many characters like that. But like, I guess I would have preferred, like, I don't know. I guess he would have been more interesting than the Jurassic World characters. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, I would rather have brought back Jurassic Park characters who had left an impact. I think he leaves more of an impact than anyone from Jurassic World. I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe that's a hot take, but I really hate the Jurassic World characters.
Hot take. I mean, like, out of all the side characters in the Jurassic World franchise, I do remember the guy with the with the parachute hang glider.
Yep.
A little more than
the
man who
Dino-soar.
screams when he sees dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. So you had another scene you wanted to go on to.
The river scene with the Spinosaurus, which is a little reminiscent of the raft scene with the T-Rex.
Except for it's incredible.
It's so good. You
good.
can tell they did so much work on the animatronic just between movies because that thing was drenched. The ability for that animatronic to keep working, I mean, it's pretty tense. They're all trying to get out, and then Paul Kirby, man, Dad of the Year. Probably not. I don't know. There's probably better dads.
Well, no, he did kidnap a man.
Yeah, but he did probably become the best dad on that island. Safe to say. You know what? The raptor dads actually they were better dads. But so the scene where, because the Spinosaurus rips the oil of the tanker and it starts sinking, like the oil tanker, and when they light it on fire, it looks amazing.
It looks phenomenal. Oh, yeah. And this goes back to something I said about, I realized in this last watching of Jurassic Park 1 that I think the clever thing that film does to make the dinosaurs feel real, and I think they're in the same space as the humans, but to work around technical limitations is, instead of having the dinosaurs directly interact with the humans too much, they have the human and the dinosaur interact with the same object. And so the Spinosaurus lifting up the boat it's insane. It just looks so good, and it feels very real because the tilted over boat is causing the humans to fall and stuff, and it's causing the honestly the really clever element of the phone going back and forth. It just makes the entire thing feel like it's actually happening, and it's so dramatic and fun. My original take on the series is the series gets worse as it goes on. But upon rewatching 2 and 3 is way better than 2. I really enjoyed 3, and this I was continually more and more surprised as the movie went on longer. And this being the climax just really blew me out of the water, as it were.
Remembering a scene that actually kind of upset me from this. It's right before that scene and before the poop scene, which also upsets me.
They had to bring it back.
They're floating down the river. They've gone... Ever since they got to the island, it's kind of been nonstop horror and nightmare land. They haven't had an opportunity to, like, bask in the beauty of the dinosaurs. Like, you get that moment in every single one of these movies where there's like that moment where people just kind of stand in awe of what they're looking at. And it happens somewhat early on. I love those scenes because it really is that moment where you are drawn into the world. You kind of set a lot of disbelief aside. This movie, they're looking out the window of a plane when you see, like, the first dinosaurs. You're like, oh, look at them down
When
there.
the music plays.
And then suddenly, Spinosaurus attack, Raptor attack, Compies are everywhere, Tyrannosaurus is there, Spinosaurus keeps chasing them. Now Pteranodons are trying to kill them. They're floating down the river on a raft, and then they go, wow, look at these beautiful animals.
Maybe dinosaurs aren't that
bad. Of
bad.
the Apatosaurus, and they are the most horrifying looking Apatosauruses I've ever seen. It looks like they straight up have like blood on their face.
Yes, they look horrifying.
Oh. I'm just like, I don't This is one of the worst, wow, look at the beautiful dinosaurs moments. And it also happens with like 25 minutes left of the film. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, horrifying apatosaurs. Like the eye. We watched it. I said, Cameron, look at their eye. I said, Cameron, look at their eyes. And it's just, ugh.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
Their teeth were too pronounced too.
Yeah, just ugh. I will say, so they are very close to the coast, and they get encountered by the raptors, who are like, please give us our children back. Valid request, if you ask me. So they hand the eggs over, and it looks like they might kill them until you kind of start to hear a faint background noise, which you realize eventually is a chopper. And so Alan Grant starts messing around with like the fake raptor voice, and they kind of tilt their heads, and then they end up just taking their eggs and leaving. And so they get to the coast, and it's just a wide shot of a beach. One man by himself, suit and tie. And he's like, Mr. Grant?
Whoa.
Or, yeah. Mr. Alan Grant?
No, like, he might as well be holding a sign saying, like, Mr. Grant, I'm here to pick you up.
Exactly. It was just like an airport. And they're like, oh my gosh, don't make a lot of noise. Because they're thinking about the Spinosaurus. And then suddenly the army spawns in. Like 10 feet down the beach. Doom's like D-Day.
The army... the most extra in this entire franchise. They just sent a man to the beach to stand there so they could make a dramatic entrance. They're like, all right, we gotta wait.
And
waiting underwater.
And this is where, I don't know if we said it, they show up because they managed to use the satellite phone to call Ellie, whose husband, who works in international whatever treaty law, probably pulled some strings to get them rescued, which is interesting because previously they couldn't rescue their son because the U.S. Embassy wouldn't do anything.
Yep.
So he knows some big wigs. He's got dirt on people, and he said, can you go rescue my wife's former not lover from the island they're not supposed to be on? She's fond of him.
Oh my God. Very fond of this man.
It does make her being married to this guy makes far more sense, because in the books it mentions, even in the first book it mentions she's engaged, and then mentions she's married with 2 kids in the Lost World book.
Oh, does
Wasn't
it really?
she also
does.
Considerably younger than
Yes,
Alan Grant?
she was a graduate
basically his
student.
student or something like that.
Yeah, that's how they describe her, because they describe Dr. Alan Grant, who's actually widowed. In the first book, he's widowed, and
he loves kids too.
Yeah, he loves kids. But when they're introducing Ellie, it talks about how she's young, how she's got good legs, and that she's set to marry a doctor the next year. The first of many mentions of her legs for an odd reason.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about Jurassic Park 3?
Yes, the scene that I got dragged out of the theater for because I started crying in this movie. Yeah.
Was it Alan?
It was one of the raptor scenes. It was the one where that one mercenary who turns out they weren't mercenaries.
Where they...
Yeah,
you continue, I'm sorry. Dump your childhood trauma.
Just hired escorts or something like that. They were there like covering for like the actual mercenaries. Or something like that.
One of the guys got sick, so he went.
That's what it was. Yeah, they got sick, so he was the replacement that they called in. Poor guy gets killed by the raptors. He gets his like back stuck by one of their claws.
They paralyze him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene horrified me.
That's
and
valid.
Then the moment where they kind of like run away and use him as like bait to bring
Yes.
down, and then they move in and then they kill him. They like bite his neck and then just like pull really hard and he gets his neck snapped or something.
That's horrifying. You're right.
That moment, yeah, I was just crying and screaming, and my aunt was like, I'll take him to the lobby. I had to go and sit in the hallway.
What a good aunt. I don't know if I'd do that for my nephew. I'd be like, someone looking at his parents, you gonna take your kid out of the dinosaur movie so I can enjoy this?
Meanwhile, there's like some guy in the front who's probably like, what a funny scene of a man getting his neck stabbed
Like,
by a raptor.
It's just like, you know,
And that man is me going back in time to further traumatize my younger self.
Probably when he watches this film, someone from that theater probably like, man, I remember hearing a kid have a meltdown during this scene. Sticks with you. That's how I feel about when I saw the Percy Jackson movie and Hades jumped out of the fire. First of all, terrible book adaptation, but I won't get into that. And there's like a 4-year-old girl behind me and my mom, and like full screaming, crying meltdown.
Wow.
Like this is probably like her first brush with death. Horrified. She's like "Ah!" in the row behind us. Anyways.
So we classically end our film discussions with describing the biggest moments. What are your guys'? Do you have any moments from Jurassic Park 3?
I do question the inclusion of a not quite bra shot.
Oh,
with
yep,
a man.
yep.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Maybe it's like in Star Wars how, you know, George Lucas was like, there's no underwear in space. There's no underwear in Jurassic Park. I don't know. I was just kind of, it's just one of those things where I'm like,
Yeah.
Was that necessary?
Exactly. I'm like,
No. I think about the second J.J. Abrams Star Trek film where they're changing in the ship, and then he like looks over his shoulder and sees her, and she's just in her bra, and she's like, "Do you mind not looking at me?" And like does like a pose at everything, and I'm like, was that necessary? Like, I know he's a womanizer and kind of a sleaze, but like, you didn't need that.
Any other hmms? I have a list, but I want to let you guys go first.
I'll probably remember them when you say them.
Poop scene is a boo. I don't know if that
It's an L.
The big ol' L.
It's an L.
I don't need any more poop in these movies. If the new movie has a poop scene, I'm walking out.
You're gonna start freaking out and crying, and your aunt's gonna have to drag you
I am
out.
going to riot in the theater. I will break every tenet I follow and start screaming.
Someone's going to say, man, COVID ruined theater etiquette.
That is my favorite thing people will say in my comment sections on TikTok all the time. And I'm just like, hey, guess what? My stories are from pre-COVID, so guess.
So, my first is, so the beginning of the film, young man Eric, he gets stuck on the island because he's parasailing, and you see on the sail the name of the business. Dino-soar, as in soaring through the air.
Yeah.
Ridiculous pun to start this film off. And in that same scene,
an illegal business, by the way.
Yeah.
illegal
It's like
business,
you're just
illegal
putting-
name.
You're putting in like tax fraud Inc. It's like, oh, I wonder what they're doing.
Yeah.
The green screen in that sequence is super cheesy while they're like in the air, and it looks like it's from the 70s. It looks like it's just bad. Gives a the frozen raptor when the I can't remember who it is. Is it the woman?
It's the
Well,
wife,
she's the only
Amanda.
woman on
Amanda.
the island.
through the glass, and it's just perfectly still.
I mean, it's almost identical to the incredibly funny scene from Young Frankenstein when they're looking at all the dead heads, and then Igor is there, frozen. It's the same thing. The fact that the raptor is like standing there frozen, not moving, and then it does the jump scare. Very silly. Very, why did it do that? At the beginning of the film, Alan and Sattler are talking about their experience on Jurassic Park. And Alan says the most unhinged thing to say to another person.
He goes,
"Do you remember the sounds the raptors made?" That's a horrible
he's
thing
got
to
this
say.
weird half grin on his face, like he's been fantasizing about it. He's like, do you remember the sounds they made? And Ellie goes, I try not to.
So funny. To kind of go off what Rachel said, just the weird divorced couple sexual tension subplot is a bit like, this is a dinosaur movie. Why is there a drama between a divorced couple? It's a bit silly, in my opinion. It just made me go,
It's such
why
a
is this here?
surface level movie.
Yeah.
We did not need them to even be divorced. They could just be a concerned couple.
I agree.
Who just wants to find their kid, and it would have changed nothing.
Because now they're trauma bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best foundation for a remarriage, a reunification,
Trauma
is that
bond.
you went through a horrible experience saving your son from dinosaurs.
And also, not to interrupt your list, another was just the amount of rapidly sped up camera shots.
Oh yeah, the speed ramping
It's
is
just
a bit.
it's noticeable. It's never done well. I don't like it.
I agree.
Pulls you out.
We can always tell if something is sped up, almost always, and it's done a lot in this film. I think it's somewhat stylistic, and it's somewhat trying to make up for the perhaps somewhat slow movements. Though I read supposedly the Spinosaur animatronic could move at 100 miles an hour when it was like turning, like not like run at 100 miles an hour, but like it could turn with the speed of 100 miles an hour is what I read. So I don't know about that. Sounds dangerous. My final So while we were watching the film, we were talking about the man earlier, the quote unquote mercenary Udesky. I said, and you agreed, he looks like Mr. Noodle from from Elmo's world within Sesame Street.
Is that Mr. Noodle?
It is. He is Mr. Noodle.
I loved Mr. Noodle.
So
I loved
choosing
that
to cast a
man.
man who is most famous for being, at least with our generation, the target audience of this film, children, supposedly, to cast someone from...
Oh, he's not Mr. Bean.
No, not Mr. Bean. Mr. Noodle.
Yeah, Mr. Noodle. Sorry, I just hallucinated an entirely different conversation.
No, do you know what, though? I would appreciate Rowan Atkinson being in the
I
Jurassic
want-
World movie.
Now I need a Jurassic Park
you-
movie where Mr. Bean is there.
A Jurassic
Hunted by raptors.
a Jurassic Park movie where it's just Mr. Noodle and everything else is a Muppet.
Oh, man, a Muppet. See, now you put that in my
Muppet
head.
Jurassic Park.
I mean, I know Bailey's in for all things Muppet.
So how many parents do you think went, oh, it's Jurassic Park, there's dinosaurs, and Mr. Noodle's in it. We'll go take our kids.
People start dying
Okay.
immediately.
Okay, I don't think any parents said Mr. Noodles. I think maybe one.
I'll ask my
said-
parents. I bet my parents probably saw it and went, it's Mr. Noodle.
We should take our kid to see this.
No,
after
they did
having
not take
watched
me to
it.
go see the Jurassic Park movies in theaters.
I will say, as a final note for Jurassic Park 3, I think other than all the great visual effects and tension, the human element that works, that does not work in Jurassic Park 2, and I'm saying it now because I don't think I'll get a chance to talk good about a human element in a Jurassic Park movie again after this, is Alan being so obsessed with dinosaurs that he can't help but observe their behavior. He's fixated on the raptors and their vocalization. That's just a fun character element to like, that he's so fixated on them that he can't help but be mesmerized by them. That's fascinating. That's so lacking from Jurassic Park 2. Yeah.
I will say probably one of my favorite Alan Grant moments in this film is when the juvenile T-Rex has encountered the Spinosaurus and they're running and he falls into the log and the T-Rex steps like
Yes.
on the log but not on him and he's just like it's
Yes.
it's so accurate and
Oh,
it's so
that's such a good
funny.
point.
That's probably like more traumatic for anyone because it's just like, yeah, I've stared down the barrel of a T-Rex, but have you ever been stepped on and lived?
Yeah. The
Knowing
guy
full well
from
that
Lost World
your
cannot
life
say
is
that.
in the hand of this log.
It's just there's some good Sam Neill yells in this.
So good.
Well, that about wraps up the final good Jurassic Park movie, unfortunately. Well, maybe not.
I hope Rebirth is
maybe
good.
Jurassic Bork Rebork will be good.
Rebork?
Rebork. Jurassic Bork Rebork?
Rebork?
That's what I like to call it.
Rebork. Here's the thing. I'll give my little 2 cents on my second favorite Jurassic movie, Jurassic World.
Oh, whoa, putting it above 3.
You know, I see where you're going and I get it.
know I do put it above 3.
I see where you're going and I get it.
think the strongest element of that for me is that we got to see a Jurassic Park realized.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to see like it kind of fall apart. And I enjoyed that. Ultimately.
That movie has
The
such
rest
a
of the movie, nah.
when the whimsy is strong, the whimsy, it works so well for that park, that movie.
Oh my god, I want to go to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I know I will die.
So
the whimsy is too much.
As always, we conclude our episode with a meme minute, but it's normally longer than a minute. But is it longer than the time I've spent waiting for a good Jurassic Park sequel? I don't know. We'll see. Rachel, how many memes you got this week?
Well, I had to split mine in half from last week.
Yes. I only have one, maybe. So go ahead and just start shooting them out.
I have 14 in 2 videos.
That's not too bad. Okay,
I will be showing all of them because they're half. The 90% of them are Andor ones because you made me so
go for it.
Bailey, you should turn your camera on.
Well, he can see us.
On.
He can see us.
Try.
Okay, so
oh no. That's the USB that got disconnected earlier. Oh, no! It's not. Oh no.
At least it wasn't your microphone.
So this is a TikTok. I will not have any more TikToks going forward because I actually deleted TikTok. So sorry guys. Only image memes from now on. So this just says your plane crashed on a deserted island and you hear this ringtone.
Oh my god.
That's it. That's the one video.
Good stuff.
The other one is this is a clip from Andor season 1. 10-year-old me on Christmas when my distant uncle says that I've gained some weight since he saw me last year.
Aren't you tired of fighting with people who agree with you?
You come all this way to scold me? Or did you bring me some toys?
That's it.
I saw that. I saw that one.
That's
so
good.
I laughed really hard. It's so funny. You come all this way to scold me. Or did you bring me some toys?
So this obligatory every week, not a meme, but so this last week for my work, I was running tech at a kids camp, and I was going through the files on the computer looking for games and stuff or fun videos to show the kids. And for some reason, they had the entirety of the Jurassic Park T-Rex scene just on the computer. And I really, really wanted to show it, but the kids were in 2nd and 3rd grade. I think they're a little too young.
You should have been like, this is what happens to kids when you don't read your Bible.
So that was a fun podcast content moment from this last week.
All right. A job will have you 21 years old with a 56-year-old best friend dang, where Bail at today? And it's a picture of Padme and Bail Organa. And this is the exact same format. The rebellion will have you 19 years old with a 76-year-old best friend dang, where Jan Dodonna at today? And it's Leia and Dodonna. I thought it was funny. Are you ready to send? I have one but you might want to censor it.
Okay. Go for it.
So it's just a collection of pictures of Orson Krennic. It just says, people who don't like Orson Krennic, share this post if you love Orson Krennic. Yourself if you don't love Orson Krennic.
So this video is less of a meme, but just more. It's a scene from, I believe, the show 30 Rock that I did not know existed. I was shocked that I did not know. So I'm just gonna play it for you guys. I want to make sure my audio's on.
Is a layup. But don't just take
Yeah,
it
almost.
from
It's a satirical advertisement for.
Oh my god! Is this
for
the
Mitt
Black
Romney.
Transformer Jazz?
Mitt Romney is a layup. But don't just take it from me. Take it from my good friend, the Black Transformer Jazz.
What's cracking, my homies? Jazz gets down with the Romneys.
Oh my god, does he really talk like that in the movie?
Paid for by Americans for an American America. Dynamite.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
That is garbage.
What are you talking about? That was Don Cheadle and Jazz, your heroes. Do you know how expensive that was?
I had never seen this before. This is years old. What are you talking about? It's Jazz, your
The funny
hero.
part for me is I saw like that clip out of context like years ago, and it stopped after the "What's crackin' my homies," and me and my brother just died laughing for like a solid 15 minutes. We just were like, "Oh my god, what is this?" We thought it was from like SNL or something. We're like, "How did they do this so well?"
I'm speechless. Bailey, for context, Jazz is my favorite Transformer. So
I'm so glad Jazz is your favorite Transformer.
I thought you were gonna say I'm so sorry.
The live action movies did him so dirty.
yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna say I'm so sorry, just with no context. And I was gonna end this call. I was gonna be like, we're done. All right. So the interrogation scene with I'm like showing like this super overexposed phone to Bailey. It's the scene of Krennic interrogating Deidre. Say it. Say the word. Death Star. That's 2 words. He was probably expecting. I saw something. Oh, sorry, Bailey.
I was gonna say I had that same thought whenever I was watching the show. I was like, "That's 2 words."
Well, I saw something that he was probably expecting her to say Stardust, because if she said Stardust, all she would know is is like the plan name. But if she said Death Star, she was snooping way more than she should have. So that he was that's probably why he was so pissed. He was like, bah! So this says, "Happy Father's Day, not you," to father figures, and it's pictures of Star Wars dads, and the "not you" is Jod from Skeleton Crew.
I love John.
Jod, but not a dad.
Sucks so much.
I also like Jod, so I just got a kick out of it.
So
The other characters in question are Kanan Jarrus, Hunter, Soul from The Acolyte, which apparently had a lot of comments in it. But I'm like, if you're going to wish Darth Vader a happy Father's Day, you can wish Soul a happy Father's Day. I almost said Pedro Pascal. The Mandalorian, Bale, and then Uncle Owen. That's a dad right there.
now, originally kind of a crappy father figure, but because of the Kenobi series, kind of strengthened his relationship with Luke.
You know, I would probably also be tired of Luke.
Yeah, after 19 years.
I'd be like, get this kid out from under my roof. Send him to the Imperial Academy.
I think this quick Star Wars aside, because we haven't really talked about Star Wars much today.
You talk about Andor.
Originally, Luke is just kind of a random kid.
I wanted to go to
Like,
Tasha
yes, he's the
Power
son of
Station.
Anakin Skywalker, big quotes, but originally Anakin Skywalker is not that important of a figure.
No.
Until they retcon it with Empire Strikes Back. It would have made a lot of sense if Uncle Owen was trying really hard to keep Luke on the farm to keep him away from Vader. But in the original movie, that's not the case. He's going to try to keep him around long enough. He's going to let him leave. So I think that Uncle Owen would be a little bit more of a misunderstood figure if he was actively trying to keep him on the farm,
Yeah.
but he's really not.
He was just tired of him. He's like, go do something productive with your life. Let us moisture farm in peace.
So as I said last week, now that we've covered Jurassic Park on the podcast, just any sort of dinosaur meme in general.
I know, I'm so excited.
So here's a fun video.
I've seen this one.
So it's a rhino and a triceratops, and it says, "I lost my armor."
Lost my armor.
A wolf and a dog.
Presents. I lost my height.
Bronchiosaurus and a giraffe.
Lost my size.
Snakes.
Titanoboa.
A cat and a saber tooth. A T-Rex and a chicken. Remember. So that's also kind of Lion King, right?
Yes.
The music and the Remember Who
Yes,
You Are.
that is the track. Remember?
Yes.
That's the track. Remember who you are.
So that's big for Rachel. Lion
That's
King's
big
big
for
for
Rachel.
Rachel.
Bailey, you get to see this one first. I hope this. I don't know if the text backward is for you or not.
I want that on a shirt.
Me too.
I really want that on a shirt.
It is just a picture of Partagaz from Andor season 2, and it just says "Calibrate your enthusiasm."
Him shooting himself.
Oh no!
Oh my god. Okay, I don't have the video, but do you remember the Cerveza Crystal trend.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's the scene from Andor where he's in the room alone and he like reaches to the desk. And they cut to the sort of like him reaching into a cooler and pulling out a cerveza crystal.
Phenomenal.
And then it cuts to the guys in the hallway. And instead of hearing the blaster shot, you just hear a muffled cerveza crystal. And like, the stormtroopers like flinch like they're ready to go in, and the guy stops.
That's phenomenal.
Oh, so good.
What else you got, Rachel?
Season 3 of Andor has been announced. It will be 8 episodes and consist of nothing but K2SO and Cassian trading barbs on their way to Caffrine.
I would be here. Any more K2SO, I would gladly pitch money in for.
Oh my god, yes.
This is just a fun video that says, I hope that my local grocery store never fixes the R2-D2 door.
That's not like R2D2.
Good.
This says, you know, I used to be Darth Vader's master. Sure, Mr. Watto, let's get you to bed, but it's Clea with the grandma.
That's good. That's layered.
So good.
That's fun. What else you got?
The clip from, it's not The Off. Oh, it's Parks and Rec. I don't know. I always watched Community. I don't care for Parks and Rec. But it's that picture of like someone will die of fun. And the someone will die is Andor logo, but of fun is Skeleton Crew.
That's good.
Yes.
And I'm totally forgetting that actor's name.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
This
quickly,
is dinosaur
he's going to
related.
become podcast content starting
He's gonna be Dinosaur
2
Man.
episodes from now.
Dinosaur Man. The Empire in Star Wars Rebels versus the Empire in Andor.
Yes.
I like this format. Me just holding the phone up, like, can you see it, son?
Yes, I can see it. Assume I can see it.
So true.
It's
That was one of the best memes last week, which was the rebels and Andor having to go through existential crisis every episode. Meanwhile, the Ghost Cruise is off having fun, quirky adventures.
all right. There's no words to this.
That's a
So it's the
good.
scene from
That's
Rogue
good.
One where
That's
Krennic
good.
is looking up and he sees the Death Star in the sky, but it's not the Death Star. It's the speaker from the Chandrillan wedding in Andor.
very good.
And the next scene is Mon Mothma dancing.
So this reminds me, not a meme, but I saw a frame from a comic that I'm guessing this is a recently released comic that right before the Death Star blew up, Mon Mothma had a vision of all the people the Death Star had killed as like spirits that came back to like haunt him in that last moment. That's
Did you say Mon Mothma?
I said Mon Mothma, my bad. Grand Moff Tarkin.
I was like, who?
Yeah, not
what?
Mon Mothma. Grand Moff Tarkin.
Ooh, that's
Mothma just like lying in bed, and then everyone in Alderaan showed up in a bedroom, and she just was like,
But it's a great image in the comic because you see his perspective and you see all these people, and right front and center you have
Krennic.
you have Andor and you have Krennic.
Crazy.
You have man, I'm totally the main woman from Rogue One. I'm totally blanking on her name.
Jyn.
Jyn Erso. You have Saw Gerrera, Gate Gerrera.
Orgone.
Can you imagine getting haunted by Saw Gerrera? That would probably be worse than just
my
eternal
God.
punishment.
You know what? That's
Saw
probably his
Gerrera
most
as your
ideal
ghost?
form. Is this getting to
Christ.
haunt people? That's like his dream job, I think.
Oh man.
Oh my god, he's just sitting there, he's just like, do you have any Rhydonium?
That was such a good
And it's just
impression.
like,
You have no idea where I am. I'm dead. I'm alive. You have no
I
idea.
do where I am.
So good. It's
There's
my
a Chuck E.
favorite
Cheese
meme.
behind you. We know it's on Jeddah. I love that meme specifically.
It's so
that one
good.
just came up. It's just him in a Chuck E. Cheese. And they're like, that's the Chuck E. Cheese on Jeddah. He's like, you have no idea where I am. Disconnects.
That it is crazy to lie about where you are when they guess correctly. It's like there's still you're gonna like bluff them out of not checking. Like it didn't work.
Yeah. I got 3 more.
You
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
on Jeddah? No.
No.
No, this is Saw.
We could see the Star Destroyer over Jeddah in the background. No, you can't.
This is Wedda.
Very good. Just making Sagrera Patrick by the end.
Okay, it's this picture of like Mon Mothma and people pointing at her. Hey guys, Mothra, not what I'm called.
Yes, I've loved this meme.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Real good. That's great.
One of my other favorite ones is that, but it's the Pokemon Latios. And
Latios, not what I'm called.
They say, Latina. She goes, not
what
name.
I'm called.
Very good.
Oh, so funny. And then just we spoiled it, but you have no idea where I am. It's just the scene. And then the next one, me does laundry. That one sock. You have no idea where I am. So many. I saw another one that was like me when Google asks to use my location. And I say no. You have no idea where I am.
So good. That's all your memes for the week?
That's all my memes.
Bailey, it was such a blast to have you back on.
Oh, happy to be back.
It was so
a
good.
lot of fun.
I look forward to hearing your thoughts about Jurassic Park Rebark. I hope I'm torn between hoping it's good or bad, because if it's bad, it'll be probably more fun to talk about on the podcast.
If it's bad, I'll cry live on the podcast. I've already cried on the podcast once. What did I cry the last time over?
I don't recall you crying on the podcast.
Was it me talking about how much I loved Godzilla -1?
Good.
I cried about something. I can't remember
That
what it
would get
was.
me. I made a TikTok after I saw it, and I was like, this movie is the greatest thing. And I was like tearing up while I was talking about it.
I think we might have been talking about some of our favorite films. I might have been talking about I was talking about something. I was like crying.
Me with Parasite.
Oh.
I'm trying to think about, upcoming, we're going to be doing the Jurassic World movies. You said Jurassic World is your second favorite film. So how do you feel then about the significant drop off thereafter?
I mean, it already was a drop off that to even be in second place. Like Jurassic Park is A+, 100%. And Jurassic World, solid like 65% at most. If I'm being generous on that day.
It's not a failing grade, but it's sure not a passing grade.
Sure not a passing grade. It's enough of a popcorn flick. Popcorn has entered my body.
But like thereafter, like seeing, you clearly enjoyed Jurassic World, then seeing the sequels to that film, Jurassic World, is it Lost Kingdom? Is that the subtitle of the second one?
Fallen Kingdom.
Fallen
and
Kingdom, thank
Dominion.
you.
I hate both of those.
Yeah.
Like, here's how it is. I enjoy Star Wars prequels, everything. I enjoy Force Awakens. I enjoy The Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker is an abomination. The feelings I have for Rise of Skywalker, the rage in my body that keeps me up at night when I think about even a single element of that movie, is the kind of rage I have for Fallen Kingdom and Dominion.
So you want to know?
I just go, you were teed up for success and you didn't do anything.
So you want to know something funny? I've never seen Fallen Kingdom.
Wild, really?
I have seen all of them except for Fallen Kingdom. I just never watched it. So I was like, I'll watch Dominion when it comes out.
Well, I think that'll at least make for a fun episode then, just a fresh... Yeah, we'll talk about it. Well, you and I will talk about our opinions, but I appreciate Bailey just teeing up our viewers, our listeners who have never seen those movies. That's what we're walking into, is that reaction right there.
Why is the finale bugs? The Dino-soar series finale is bugs.
They missed their patch updates.
Oh.
Which does relate back to the first book when there were actual literal patch updates for the dinosaurs. They're like, we'll just make a new version.
Yeah.
Well, it was great having you on. We also always shout out, thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. Thank you for Rachel for making our artwork. We have Jurassic Park on the helmet now.
Hopefully we won't ever get like copyright struck because
I don't think so. Normally images like that are fine. And also for running the Twitter account.
Thanks to Cameron for running our Facebook and our Instagram page that he ignores me on all the time.
Of course, thank you to Athena for not being too loud this episode and also editing the pod.
Yay!
Just a quick schedule update. We actually will be covering Jurassic World before the new film, Jurassic Park Rebark. So that will be roughly the first week of July will be Jurassic World. The second week of July will be Jurassic World, Jurassic Park 7, Jurassic World 3 reboot. And then 2 weeks after that.
Jurassic World 3? No, it's Jurassic World 4.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Jurassic World 4, new Jurassic Park 1. They actually, I need to confirm this. I heard on a podcast they consider calling it Jurassic City, which is just ridiculous.
You bet your ass it was.
It relates to the Andor memes. Because Gareth Edwards is directing the new one, and he directed Rogue One.
There you go. That's the only reason I have really any hope for this movie is that it's Gareth Edwards, who also made a great, I think, a really great Godzilla movie.
Gojira.
Yes.
And I accidentally closed out of my notes. Oh no, I don't.
You titled it.
I was looking for the schedule.
You titled it R&R 81.
I was looking for the schedule, but I remember the schedule. July 23rd, we will do the final two Jurassic World films, and that will wrap up. So we are currently wrapping up Jurassic Park, but we still have a whole month of July Jurassic World.
And then we're going to have to watch Tales of the
Oh, yeah, Tales of the Underworld. Have you seen Tales of the Underworld, Bailey?
Yes.
Oh, no.
We should have had him for this one.
That is not very reassuring.
I had a feeling.
I will not elaborate.
He's traumatized. This is Cameron and Rachel and Bailey signing off saying, catch us dino-soaring into July in the new movie.
Catch us dino-soaring into July Jurassic World.
July Jurassic
Very
World.
good. Good night, everyone.
Stop the recording.